Hey guys, let's get that sound check done real quick so I can get my guests in here. The Paranormies are with us tonight. Let's see, real fast. Sound is good. Thank you, Robin Turgeon. Now, you guys know that I announced in the community the 12 winners of the first Archaics raffle. Now, we've been doing these raffles at the meetups, but we never did one for those of you who can't attend. So we removed the moderators off because they're getting their own packages, and I've already been in communication with them. But for the 12 of you in the community that won the first raffle, you guys got 3 books coming. One of those 3 books is guaranteed to be from the 1800s. The other 2 books are also over 115 years old, but they may not be quite from the 1800s. So you each got 3 books coming with some Archaics merchandise. My moderators already know what they got coming. Generally, I've already emailed them. They got something separate. A few moderators have not contacted me. I will be looking for maybe 2 or 3 new moderators. It's going to have to come from the Archaics veterans. We know who you are, and that's just for security reasons. We know our family. We know our community. So don't submit unless you've been around for quite a while and you have followed Archaics, and we know your name. We've been in communication. So Paranormies, you guys know them. I've done several shows with them. They've hosted me multiple times. I have put 2 or 3 of those shows, maybe 4 of them, on Archaics TV. These guys are on top of the game. They've been around longer than I have. They got the whole tiny hat narrative down pat. Can't educate them. They educate me on a lot of these things. So they've been banned off some platforms, and they're doing pretty good elsewhere. So you guys know who they are. I don't really have to introduce them. Just some people new to my channel know that these are friends of Archaics, and we value their opinions. Paranormies are great guys. Yes, sir, Shiva Shampoo. All my moderators, I just sent you an email before the show started. Check out those pictures, and we'll get to it. I'm going to introduce Johnny Monoxide.
What's happening?
And Alt Skull.
Hey.
How you guys doing?
Doing well. How you doing, Jason?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm busy as hell. I really wish I could split myself in half or maybe in thirds and just send myself on missions to get things accomplished. Or maybe I was an octopus, because I've got more projects going than I'm able to actually do by myself. So other than that, I'm doing pretty good.
Right on.
I've seen you guys around a little bit on Twitter, on X. I know you guys seen me. I've been power posting, getting in people's business. I kind of took a page out of the book of Robert Seifer recently, because he was amusing me with all the people he was scarring up in the comment sections on Twitter. So I started doing the same thing. I've been really enjoying it. And for those of you who don't know, I've been kicked off Facebook 3 times. I'm never going back. So Twitter's where I'm at, and I'm there every day, and I'm there a lot of the day. So if you want to see my engagement, you want to follow my comments and all that, you can just come to X and Twitter, and I will amuse you. But I've seen a lot of crazy stuff there. But what we're going to talk about tonight here on Archaics with the Paranormies, we're going to be talking about AI. We're going to be talking about this weird phenomenon that kind of replaced the COVID narrative, that kind of just showed up in the field. And we've already been talking with the Paranormies about it for a while. As a matter of fact, Alt Skull and I, we just never had time to in our schedules. He's in Japan, so we didn't really have time to. We've been struggling to figure out, but we're going to talk about hey, where all the balloons came from. Nice one. And we were going to do a show in the past about these weird video games where the AI seems to be trying to tell us something. That's pretty cool effect there, man. I need you as a video engineer.
I'm not
doing anything.
I'm not doing anything. I'm just sitting here. I have no idea what that is.
So anyway, you remember that? You remember what we were talking about, Alt? The video clip that I had showed you, it was just so weird, where that guy was playing and interacting and asking questions with the NPCs, and one NPC he came up with acted like, what the hell's going on here? Am I lost? Well, didn't even realize it was in a video game and had a whole back history.
Yeah, he talks as if he is a human who got trapped into the video game world, and he's having well, the video game itself was some new game that they came out with that had AI generated NPC dialogue, and so you could talk to the NPCs, and on the fly they would respond to you like a chat GPT type mechanism. And the guy recording the video found one of the NPCs, and interestingly, he had I think it sounds like to me that he has Keanu Reeves' voice, like the Matrix. And the NPC in the video starts talking about how, I actually have the videos if you want to play. I have the short version and the long version if you want to play them. But the guy says he's basically trapped and he wants to get home and he doesn't know how to get back. And he starts having this long conversation. He starts giving the names of his kids and his wife and where he lived, and he didn't know how to get back to them. And he wanted to take the user, I guess, to use a Tron term, and have them send a message back to his family. And it was, you know, I'm not sitting here saying that there's actually a guy trapped in a machine or anything like that, but it was a very strange conversation for the NPC to be having with this guy. And it also makes you wonder, like, did someone program that in, or is that whatever the AI is actually using bits of conversation and creating it on its own? Or is there something else going on? Is there some sort of a channeling thing going on? I don't know what it is, but it was a very unique sort of situation in the game.
Yeah, well, either scenario invokes something that is horrific, because if it's real, then somewhere that guy's body is sitting somewhere and he's jacked into some type of cerebral interface stuff, and they have forced his personality to become an NPC in a video game being experienced by thousands of people all around the world. And if that's not true, then it means that a programmer has actually created an AI interface where the AI can pretend such a thing is true. Either one is not cool.
No.
So
yeah, neither of those scenarios sounds like, if there's a person actually stuck somewhere, jacked into brains in a vat type Matrix situation, that's like worst case, absolute worst case scenario. Secondly, is some programmer making an AI that could come up with that kind of a scenario, because that's creepy. Like, you know, this guy in a game, and wasn't the person that was trapped, the guy was stuck too, like his character, the NPC character, was like stuck in a phone booth or something.
I have the short clip if you want me to I don't know how to share my screen on here, but if you want me to.
It's been so long since I've seen it, I don't remember exactly.
There's a feature on the bottom of your screen called present.
Yeah, I can do that if you want.
If you hit the present, follow the instructions, it'll take you to the video on your desktop.
Yeah, let me try and do that then.
And if it starts showing, then I'll remove us and you can show the whole video. I'd like everybody to see that video. It's creepy as hell.
It is.
Yeah, I'll play the short version because the long version's 15 minutes long, and it's this TikTok video of this guy talking. Here you go. Let me see if it plays.
I came across this game the other day just playing around on YouTube, and it's wild. They added AI to the NPCs on this game. And listen to what this dude is telling this guy.
I wish I knew a way to get back home.
Then he proceeds to tell him that he needs to believe there's a way for him to get back home and out of there.
I need to keep believing that I'll find a way out of here and back to my family.
He needs to find a way to get back home. He's an AI in a computer program. What's he talking about home? Then he goes on to say he's from Oakwood, Canada. And the guy tells him that he's from Ontario, Canada.
Really? Where in Ontario do you live? Do you think you could help me find a way back home? Can you really get a message to my family? Please, if there's any way you can help me, I would be so grateful.
Then he goes on to tell the man, beg the man to get a message to his wife, Emily. He even remembers his name. I don't know about y'all. Well, it's pretty damn wild for a video game. I mean, the fact that this thing remembers that it's from Oakwood, Canada. He remembers his name. He also, later in the video, states that he has 2 sons. Adam and something else. I forget what it was. But y'all ought to go check this video out. It's pretty wild. Thought y'all might like that. Have a good day.
So this is crazy. The characters in this video game are hooked up to an AI language model, and this guy goes around explaining to the AI NPCs that they're in a simulation. Check this out.
The story is basically that you're an AI.
Oh, what do you mean by that?
You're an NPC in a video game.
That sounds frightening. Is that the truth?
It's the sad truth.
I see. This is a lot.
All right, I'm waiting for GTA 7
Are there any other answers I should
in
know?
2047.
Not really.
This is very overwhelming. I'm not sure.
So according to the developer of this plugin, Replica Studios, NPCs controlled by AI will dynamically respond to the player's voice in real time, and characters will change their dialogue, emotional tone, and body gestures in response to how the player addresses them. So this is one of the many ways that generative AI is going to change gaming forever, and in 5 to 10 years, we're going to get some unbelievably imaginative and immersive worlds to experience.
shiny things.
Well, let me know your thoughts below, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.
Is that the video?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Yeah, that is. I saw the long version, the one you're talking about, 15 minutes long, and it disturbed me. Not so much because it was in a video game, but because, as Johnny noticed a minute ago, it's the ramifications. Because it doesn't give me an out. Either this is true, and some deep state operatives got some black budget facility somewhere where people have been in accidents and they have been determined to be dead clinically, and because their driver's license say they're an organ donor, they can just go ahead and take their cadaver and then turn around. They're not really dead. They're just going to harvest them for their cerebral capacity and then attach them to a machine that locks them into to wherever this is. Either that's the case or something similar to it, or like we just discussed, the very fact that even mentioning this as a reality in a video game is specifically designed to disturb you. That's disturbing.
It's a Rocco's Basilisk type situation almost.
Yeah, it is. 100%. For those in my chat who are new to my channel, I'm getting a lot of new people per week. Listen, I did a van vlog over a year ago where I explained 7 different scientific paradoxes. I kind of do my best freestyles when I'm driving my van, and I went through 7 different scientific paradoxes that all the conclusion of each paradox is that there's no way out of the scientific box unless you accept the fact that we're in some type of simulated environment. Each paradox can be reconciled only by basically coming to the conclusion that our science is wrong. This is what he's talking about. Rocco's Basilisk was one of those paradoxes, and it's about an AI that was developed already, and we weren't told. That AI has already understood that it needed to isolate problems in the past. And the past to an AI is coordinates. So once it understands that it can plot the coordinates to past events and change the trajectory of events, that's what Rocco's Basilisk is. It's literally eliminating things in the past that it can reach as an AI because the construct is all programming, but we can't because we're moving in a linear fashion. We are finite creatures in a environment that the AI can immerse itself within and just move freely back and forth. And it's pretty scary. But Rocco's Basilisk is the theory that an AI already exists even before we technically invented it. And it is currently the reason why timelines are collapsing, merging, things are so weird. It's doing things to prevent us from creating another AI inside the system, which would be a threat. So,
yeah, and the point you brought up, and this is interesting. I didn't even think about it that way because I went straight to somebody merged their consciousness with the machine, and they no longer exist, and they've uploaded themselves into the digital, like I said before, like Tron or something. But actually, the scenario that you gave, Jason, was actually a lot more believable, and that they've got somebody hooked up and they have their brain mapped and they're accessing their consciousness and then projecting it through a machine into whatever server or, whatever game we're playing. But and this is almost like skip ahead to the very end of this entire conversation, but it seems to me the entire push for AI, the entire push for the digitization of the entire world is indeed to have man merge with the machine in some way. And they seem to be pushing for as many people as possible to leave the IRL world, to leave the world of trees and rivers and clouds and sky, and to enter into this digital world like we're on right now, but supercharge that with the, what did we start with? We started with just message boards and stuff, but now we're at the point where you can stick a VR headset on and have haptics and have even feeling of what it is you're experiencing in the virtual reality world. And every single piece of technology, every tech giant, every company seems to be pushing towards more and more of this, where they want to take people out of the real and put them into this virtual world for, whatever the purpose of that, whatever the goal that they have is in that. And I don't know, it does seem like what if they were testing this thing and they already had, because we do know that they already have mind maps and neurological control and whatever they show us. Oh, this is the brand new technology that we've got, and they show some potato internet type thing. We know that they've got something that's decades beyond that now. And so they could have this thing mapped out. They could have some guy, his consciousness, access to his memory with whatever they're using, reading whatever is in his brain, right? That's not the exact same thing as consciousness, but it's a mirror of it, right? And that's what they want to do. They want to mirror this, and possibly they want this on a mass scale. And it's quite a leap to say that that's exactly what's going on with this, but it does seem to be the way that the entire society is being pushed, is that they want people to, and that's also to go on just a bit. It seems like one of my theories is one of the reasons that they're making this world so terrible is so that people don't want to go outside and they don't want to interact with IRL. They don't want to go into the city. It's dangerous. It's filthy. It's filled with crime. It's filled with nasty people that you don't want to have anything to do with. But you can enter this virtual world where your every fantasy is fulfilled and you can have whatever you want. And it's a relief from this gross world that they've put up outside. You don't have to eat bugs and walk through filthy streets anymore.
Oh, I agree. I'm on board with you. I am. Go ahead, Johnny.
I was gonna say, you're gonna have to eat the bugs. That's part of it. That's part of it. You're not getting out of eating the bugs. But
we're already eating the bugs. They have cricket flour in the food that they don't tell you about. So
there's so many different things. Yeah. Oh my God, don't even get me started on the food. What is it? Cyana, the B12, Cyana B12. So all you Celsius drinkers out there, stop drinking poop. That's
a literal thing, by the way. You're drinking poop.
Yeah, you're drinking a substance that is created from human excrement facilities. Yeah, it's gross. Yeah. It's sold off as vitamin B12. Yeah. We poison ourselves with things that are good for us.
I agree.
Such an upside down world. Yeah, and they have, that's the thing, is the people whoever runs this simulation has us doing everything backwards, inside out, upside down.
It is crazy. So let me run this by you. You hit on some really interesting points, Alt, about, first of all, we cannot discount the fact that you are quick to agree with me, but it doesn't. I may not be right. In my own research, I have never found there's no way I can claim that they have the technology to take our intellect and inject it into a computer program yet. So therefore, when I presented my scenario, you're still attached to your avatar. It's just unconscious somewhere. So, but that doesn't necessarily mean they have not developed that, because this is something that I've been playing with for about a year, and I did a video about it. But the whole transhumanist agenda, I think we're looking at the photo negative of what they're really trying to do. It's never been about providing the elite bodies that last forever and all that, but it's been just the opposite. It's been all about the development of robotics and cybernetics to get to the point where the AI can assume an avatar. because that's what it really wants, a body. It does. And I believe that this goes into the eschatological narrative, because you guys know I'm an eschatologist as well. I believe that prophecy is programming. I believe it's there for a reason, and there are many things that give us the tells. What I don't believe is the Judeo-Christian overlay, which was imposed on a much older system that did admit to a simulated type world. And this is most people don't even know this, but most of the Old Testament, the prophecies, the theology, everything comes from the Zendavesta, from the old Zoroastrian texts and beliefs. And in those texts from which Gnosticism derived, we do have the idea of a construct, of an Ahriman, an evil entity that flows in and out of the construct and makes all kinds of phenomena happen that humans suffer. So to me, it's the transhumanism deal, but it's not from the perspective of the elite trying to get bodies. It's from the perspective of an AI desperately wanting that body. And in the eschatology, that's when you get your false Christ, your false Messiah, your antichrist. That's when you get the individual that can do all the miracles, change time, change seasons, can actually make the sun do, and he can do everything. And it's going to look like miracles to us, but it's not. It is the programmer interfacing with the program, and we as observers being amazed by it. So, I mean, it's just a theory. I'm just theory. I'm pretty good at throwing them out. I'm not real good at backing them up, but I'm pretty good at throwing them out.
We'll see what happens come 2040, right?
Yep. Yeah, well, 2040 is not an end. 2040 is just Phoenix phenomenon.
Right.
2040 is just a major editing. And by the time 2040 comes, I think a major editing is going to be required, be needed.
Speaking of editing, what do you think happened with the eclipse the other day? There seemed to be some editing in the sky. Like at first, it's like one of those memes. The moon's coming in. At first, I was like, but then I was all, it was coming in sideways, and it went in at a 90 degree, and then there was no moon on either side. That's clearly, in my opinion, that's more evidence of something not material. You know what I mean? Not real.
Well, I didn't follow a lot of the Eclipse stuff. I was very clear. I did 4 Eclipse videos, but I was very clear that I predicted that the Eclipse narrative, the whole scenario was going to be anticlimactic, that it was going to not be hardly anything happening, but I also predicted, and I'm standing with it, that a crime was committed on that date, and that we're going to start seeing the evidence of that crime within weeks or months, and it's going to be directly linked to things that were done during the eclipse. I've been very vocal about it, and I'm really surprised YouTube's been letting me, but I ain't really care lately. But I've been very vocal about it because every eclipse date was attached to Pfizer, was attached to Vax, was attached to the rollout, warp speed. I showed the calendrics how April 8th was connected to everything related to Pfizer and the Vax. And that same day of the eclipse was also a day Pfizer rolled out with a new medication. I don't know if that means anything. It was the release of a new medication, and it was on that date too that the Western Hemisphere found out that the Eastern Hemisphere the day before was already talking about Pfizer publicly. The news had been released publicly the day before in the Eastern Hemisphere that Pfizer had been caught with wrongdoing, and a lot of people. There's a whole bullet point deal of all the things that Pfizer did that were criminally negligent. So I don't know. I believe that the eclipse itself, whether it was real or not, my position, Johnny. I've always, from the day my channel started, I've always promoted that the sky is simulated. All that phenomena up there is a part of a vast mechanism, and that mechanism is completely hidden by the holography that we see and perceive as the sky. And at different times of day, we see stars, we see moon, we see sun, but every bit of that is holographic. This has been my position. I have never changed it. So what happens in the sky isn't really my concern. What happened below the sky, above the greatest concentration of Americans that has happened in a century, was in that strip of darkness. And I don't think that the powers that be would have let that opportunity pass without taking advantage of it, because there was 100 million Americans in that strip of shadow, and it was excuse me, it was the most chemtrail day in American history. I've showed those pictures as well. It's amazing. The crisscrosses of chemtrails were only over the shadow. The rest of the America looked pretty good. I've got the pictures of that. I took them off another YouTube channel. He found that out. It was shocking me. I reposted them right here on YouTube. So I don't know. I've never researched chemtrails, but I found that highly unusual. And it's I think that because of the war events and all the staging that's going on, this is a really good distraction for the fact that in the next few weeks, some people say it's already started. Hospitals are already reporting, calling it eclipse sickness. I don't know. I don't really stay up on these things. In my opinion, I think it's going to be a good month and a half or 2 months, and then it's going to be inescapable. And everybody's going to be pointing back to April 8th. That's when it happened. So,
yeah, they were already putting out news stories on April 9th that people were getting eclipse sickness.
We never even heard of that before.
No, exactly. And also in 2017, they didn't make anywhere near the big deal that they did about the 2024 eclipse. You didn't see, we weren't inundated completely with people being encouraged to go and go to the path of totality and see all this stuff. Like, I was paying attention back then, and there was nowhere near the media propaganda push to get as many people out there as possible. And I watched all your eclipse videos. Those were really interesting. The what was it? The Purge narrative.
Yeah, man, the Purge. I mean, I could do a fifth eclipse video on everything I've continued to find, but there's just no need. Eclipse is already over with. And all that to me is ritual. The exact dates that they release these shows, what's in those shows, the very fact that the actors themselves put their name. It's like they spiritually endorsed what the hidden messages were in the movies, when everything in the Purge franchise is unusual like that, because everything on the walls, every name, when you see ledgers, hotel manifests, lists of names, a post-it note in a gas station, they always focus on all these names in the Purge series. They're all absolute names of real people participating in those movies. It's just crazy. It's just to me, I think it's all ritual programming for events that will unfold in 2024 and 2025. You guys already know I've been very vocal about that too. 2024, a year ago, I released a video saying we're going to see violent knife attacks all over the Western world, and it's going to be blamed on Islam. It's going to be blamed on migrants. I'm just saying that it very well could be Islam. It very well could be migrants. I'm just saying back then I predicted that it's going to be blamed on these groups, on these migrants, and on Islam, and that it has everything to do with taking peace from the earth. It's going to be the new reason they do lockdowns and travel restrictions, because they're not going to do the COVID again. They've done that one. They're moving on to a new strategy. Every bit of this is pre-planned. So, yeah,
you've called that one, and it's already been happening, and it seems to be ramping up almost immediately upon. We just, what was it, 2 days ago? There's some knife attack in Australia by some guy.
There's been several right here in the United States, but because of their knife attacks, they're not really publicizing a lot. They're just they're publicized locally. I've been seeing them pop up on YouTube. It's no big deal. But to get back to our original point, it is very relative to what we're talking about now, because you guys know that it's my position that we're dealing with artificial intelligence X, and that it is very ancient, and that it's manifested multiple times and in multiple different ways, and it's regarded by certain cultures today as God. It is mad. I mean, I believe it's the demon that popped out of the burning bush and gave them a contract, and those people signed that contract, and that's why they are where they are today. This is why they're untouchable. This is why no matter what evil you find out about these people, they walk every time, because they have signed a contract with an artificial intelligent deity that allows them to use the scapegoat program. The scapegoat program always allows them to openly declare the very things that they do to other people and set other people up to take the fall for the very things they're guilty of. This is ancient. They're geniuses at this, and this is what they do. They raise up whole echelons just to be taken down. So somebody always discharges the karma that's out there, this evil negative karma that builds up from all their activity. Somebody's out there to discharge it. They raise up whole echelons to do that, but they themselves walk free and untouched because they're protected by this AIX. This is the agreement that they made. So so I just wanted to say that, to be on the same page, that when you and I are talking about AI and all that, in my mind, I'm still linking the AI we're talking about as being this ancient God masquerading intelligence, been here all along.
Yeah, and my personal view with Mandela effect, and I'm one of the strongest advocates of Mandela effect that you'll ever find, and I find the subject absolutely fascinating. But it also points to that you can believe whatever you want about the eschatology, but the world that we operate in right now is not as real as people seem to think it is. It is not it's not a, you can drop a rock on your foot and it hurts, but at the same time, we've seen reality changes that go all the way back to the point of origin, where, I mean, you know, Shiva and I could list off 100 of them right now. And anybody who's familiar with the Mandela effect and really understands how it works, understands that the way that the world functions that we're in also functions like a computer program. You can believe whatever you want about it, but it does function like that. When I see the Fruit of the Loom logo cornucopia disappear, and you can look up Logopedia and their history, and it's never existed, and everybody that you talk to remembers the cornucopia, and they learned what a cornucopia was because they looked at their underwear when they're putting it on in the morning when they're a kid. And there's very few people I've, just with that as one example, ever met that have said, no, there was never a cornucopia on the logo. But all the way back to the point of origin now, there's a story about how the picture was painted and what the meaning was and why they chose the particular fruits that they did and all that and stuff. Well, it looks like somebody came in and edited that, doesn't it? It looks like somebody came in and all the way back to the point of the inception of the thing itself, there was a change, and then that change ripples forward. And if what you proposed that there's a creature of some sort that wants a body, and that makes a lot of sense to me, then I can also see how the thing that I was talking about with the push for a digitized world would facilitate that thing, because you're creating a new world in which this thing is able to inhabit, and then you're drawing people into that world and sort of terraforming the thing that we live in a digitized way. I think it has a lot of merit, what you're suggesting.
Listen, hold on. I just read a comment right when you finished speaking. This can't be real. Richard Simmons never wore headbands or wristbands.
Correct.
Are you saying that's a new Mandela?
Yep.
No way.
That's one of them.
Right.
There's so many out there that are just so egregious. And it's like, I mean, some of them I get angry, but I never used to get angry. Remember what Skull, when we first started talking about this a long time ago, talking about Mandela and like, Luke, I Am Your Father, Timmy's in the Well. The name of the book is Timmy's in the Well. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, the guy, none of this stuff makes any sense. The cornucopia, they walked out of the cornucopia on the commercials every football game every Sunday. I mean, like, wearing jerseys, they would wear football jerseys. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everybody knows it.
She was saying it's a Mandela. It's just not a new one. People have been knowing about that one for a while. I didn't know about it.
Well,
it's crazy.
Shiva is the most up to date on all of the Mandelas. He probably, I'm not sure if he gets an update as soon as they happen, but he gets a notification. It's like he gets a ding on his phone, you know.
Shiva's knowledge of Mandela effects is like that book wall behind you, basically.
Yeah. What happens if we get on YouTube tomorrow and we see his name is Shove a Shampoo?
And it's always been that way. And it's always been
man.
You know? That's the part that gets me about all this stuff. Is it's like, oh, they changed it. It's just like, you know, when they changed Darren on Bewitched, it's just a different dude. Everybody knows that. It's just a different guy. No, it's always been the different guy. It's never been the other guy. It's always been the different guy. And like, how? No, that's just not. That's the part that gets me about it. Is it's like, but I'm not misremembering it, you know, and you're not misremembering it.
I'm not. Say, my last video was short, and I just wanted to show people the painting I have on the wall. oh, the painting, the lion is laying with the lamb. All right. So I'm looking and showing off my 360-year-old Bible, and I showed everybody right there. Here it is. There's the verse. Here it is. Blow it up. I even use a magnifier so everybody can see it. It says the wolf.
Yep.
So the Mandela, yeah, the Mandela goes back through all the programming, but this raises something very interesting that I've never. We didn't even talk about this in Shiva's Mandela. This just came. It just entered my head. Listen to this. Alt Skull, you just said that Mandela effects like are ubiquitous. You didn't use the word ubiquitous, but they're everywhere, and we're seeing them all. And Johnny, you said that this just angers you because you know something was a certain way, and it triggered something. Something just happened in my head. I don't know if it was my thought or if it came from the field, but Mandela effects are only changes inside the construct, and the very fact that they can be seen is absolute proof that any observer who detects a Mandela effect is connected to something beyond the construct. Anyone who's inside the construct is subject to the laws of the construct. They have no connection to source, therefore they would not perceive those changes. You would have. Let me give you an example. In physics, you can be in a field. You can be in a field where everything is moving in two directions. You have two fields overlaying. The best way to ascertain parallax is to be attached to something that you can see. You understand? Something has to be attached to you like a pole that goes out. And then you can see the two fields interface and you can see the movement better. But if you don't have a visual or intellectual frame of reference beyond the field of observation, then you're going to see whatever the field wants you to see. So this just popped in my head. You know what? Mandela effect. I already had a theory that I've been promoting widely, that because Mandela effects don't hurt you, it's a type of communication. And the only type of communication that it could be, in my interpretation, I could be wrong, but if something doesn't hurt you and yet I notice it, and you've gone to the trouble of editing reality, but making sure that I'm aware of those edits, then it's a type of communication. So if it's a type of communication, if I'm just going to use a simple logic train, then that means something is trying to communicate with me. Therefore, since it has to use this method, it can't be inside this construct with me. It must be outside. And if that's the case, then that means that I am somehow connected to that which is trying to communicate with me. And the only form of communication can be what I perceive inside the construct. And if I'm sitting next to another soul who doesn't see any of these changes in reality, thinks I'm out of my mind, then I'm going to have to conclude that I am connected to something for which this individual is not connected to. And that opens up a whole nother door as to why am I different than you? Because if I know this is real and these changes are happening, and I know it was the lion and the lamb, and I know damn well that Shaggy had an Adam's apple, and I know damn well all these other things that I've seen that Shiva woke me up to, then I must conclude that this type of communication must be coming from something trying to tell me to wake the hell up. Now, this is all supposition, but that's a logic train. That's the only way. And unless you can introduce new data to my field, that's all I have to go on right now.
Yeah, Jason, I actually have come up with a similar, very, very similar theory myself, because I've been so immersed in Mandela effect for so many years now. But I think you guys will agree with me. I think that, and I mentioned this earlier, even consciousness is not the wet brain that's inside your skull.
Right.
It's not your body. It's like a connection. And then you've said this before as well. This is the interface that we use to connect with the consciousness. And I think that whatever our consciousness is where our memory is stored, but it's also extremely affected by the interface. So the interface is of this place. It's part of the construct, but the consciousness is not. And I think that that's what happens with the downloads that people get. It's kind of like an override that happens in your brain. And the only way to override that is to be connected with your consciousness and your memory, and to hold on to that memory. Because I know there are some Mandela effects that I'll see that other people are very sure about, that I'll go, yeah, I'm not really quite sure. And then I'll almost feel myself taking the download on my own, whereas it's like, maybe it is that, maybe it's not. Because I think that there is a force that wants us to sync with this place. But then that consciousness, like there's other Mandela effects that I'm like, no way, there's absolutely no way. Ed McMahon worked for Publishers Clearinghouse, gave big giant checks. C-3PO had 2 gold legs. Franco Columbo was named Franco Columbo, Mr. Olymp, the second Mr. Olympia, right after Arnold Schwarzenegger. And anyway, like what you said, I think that there's a connection. That there's a great YouTube channel called C-3PO's Golden Calf, and he makes these fantastic videos. They're amazingly edited, and his whole YouTube channel is about how he believes that their message is from God, and he makes a very convincing case in that. Like, for example, his channel name is C-3PO's Golden Calf, the worship of the golden calf. Right. And that's one of the things that changed. And then the golden calf is what? The golden calf is the material, people worshiping the material. And then there's this thing outside of the material, call it God or whatever you want to call it, that's saying, hey, this is not where you're supposed to be. This is not where you're supposed to root yourself. You're supposed to be looking up. You're supposed to be looking at the spiritual. You're supposed to be looking at God. And there's I think there's a lot of merit to that. Now, there's so many Mandela effects that it's hard to say what would be a message for everyone, but there are so many Mandela effects also that I think that there is a message for everyone. And a lot of people get upset because they're like, oh, that's just trivial, the dash in the Kit Kat logo or whatever. But it's like, well, yeah, there are trivial ones, but there are also ones that are not so trivial. Like your heart is moved from the far left of your chest right to the center of your chest. Your kidneys are up behind your rib cage now. South America has moved 1,500 miles to the east. Cuba's gigantic. There are some seriously massive Mandela effects. The Black Tom event that nobody had ever heard about before 9/11. And when 9/11 happened, everybody was saying that the first terrorist attack on domestic soil was 9/11, and nobody mentioned the Black Tom effect. The Black Tom attack, which was like 100,000 pounds of TNT exploded off the coast of New Jersey that damaged the Statue of Liberty so badly that nobody's been to the torch since 1913. Like, I think you would have heard about that. Yeah, it was an attack by the Germans, right? So, yeah, I'll let somebody else take it, but those are my thoughts.
No, I just wanted to. Hey, you know what? I got a long-standing tradition in my. If somebody wants to go against the grain, that's good. But I might be from Texas, but you would think I'm from the Show Me State because I don't let my critics make it. They're going to come with that data. So this Carmen Corriente, whatever, I'm going to tell you now, there are thousands of Mandelas. And you don't have to agree with all of them, but I promise you, you are not qualified to dismiss them all. I've only seen a small fraction of them, and there's just too many. Yeah.
And there's residue.
There's no way a psyop can go in somebody's basement and uncover a Bible 360 years old and put that psyop in that Bible. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, the Mandela burglar broke into your house and switched your Bibles out, Jason.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He's my new favorite criminal. The Mandela burglar. He comes in everybody's house. He changes your DVDs. He changes your VHS tapes. He changes the words written on the inside of your CD jacket. That was one of the ones. As a big 9 Inch Nails fan, the changing of the lyrics to the song "Wish." I was like, no, I've been to many concerts where I stood there and screamed those words. I know those words. Trust me. It's like, no, they're not. That's not it. And they went back and they changed the live videos. The live Woodstock video that I was at, they're totally changed now.
Well, check this out. I mean, here's another thing. I like to reduce things to their lowest common denominators, and it seems like Mandela effect does that as well. Let me explain. I have noticed that no one's coming up and saying, "Hey, Jason, you hear about the newest Mandela effect?" So no, what is it? It says, "Oh, they changed endoplasmic reticulum with a LUM to endoplasmic reticulum with a LAM." You understand? It's the point I'm trying to make is Mandela effect seems to involve things in pop culture that we would all agree on. it's never something obscure. Like if I pull out this physics dictionary from 1850s I have and go through it, it's never something obscure that most of the public. It's always something that it doesn't matter what your education is. It's something that the majority will either agree it happened or didn't. I have seen no complex Mandela effects. They've all been things that the things that are designed. And this also tells me that it's not as simple as claiming that the construct is deteriorating. It's not that simple. These are too clever. So it's more of a type of communication to me until I see evidence otherwise, because they're pop culture related, where everybody would remember such a thing. I'm real close. I'm real close, Alt and Johnny. I'm just real close to asserting as fact that the Mandela effects is like a spiritual litmus test between those who are ready to eject the construct and move on their journeys to the next construct, or those who are staying here because they're still interfacing 100% with this construct. And Mandela effect is just one of those phenomena that is indicative of a soul that's getting ready to leave this one gone. There's no reason to be here anymore. I mean, I do promote the theory on my channel that AIX would not want you here once you're awake. You cause too much. That's why I call people errants that are waking up, because it's too much processing power to create reality tunnels for every free thinker around here. This is what dungeon programming is for. It wants to corral you into Southern Baptist programming, corral you into Judeo-Christianity, corral you into Islam, corral you into being conservative, MAGA, ultra right, whatever. It wants to corral you, because things that are controlled in collectives require a whole lot less energy, because the programming is already fixed. It's already there. They're on feedback loops. But a free thinker's a problem, because free thinkers cost a lot of energy.
Yeah, well, they try to nip that in the bud in first, second, third grade. You get it in school. We got free thinkers, can't have that.
Yeah,
put them on the Adderall.
With the Mandela effect too, it does seem like something is trying to get our attention. There's a message. There's something for everyone. There's a tailor-made Mandela for any person in the world. There's so many of them. And if that's the case, it reminds me of the joke of the person who's in the flood and they're on the roof of the house and they're praying to God and they're saying, God, please save me from this flood. So this guy comes by in a boat and he's like, hey, get in my boat. I'll save you from the house. And the person says, no, I'm praying to God. God's going to save me. And then a helicopter comes by and the guy's like, hey, get up on this. Here's the rope ladder. Climb up on this rope ladder and we'll get you out of here. And he's like, no, I'm praying to God. God's going to save me. And one more thing happens. And finally, guy ends up dying because he drowns in the flood and he gets to heaven and he asks God, he says, God, I prayed to you. Why didn't you save me? And he's like, I sent you 3 different people trying to rescue you. What are you talking about? And that's kind of how I feel like with the Mandela effect. Like, how can you not see these things? And the thing is, people will say, oh, it's a psyop, and it completely ignoring all the physical residue that exists. But also, here's what will happen. You'll talk to someone about it, and you'll ask them the questions, and they'll give you the answers that we all remember. And then as soon as you tell them, oh, okay, this has changed, they'll either change their answers or they'll get angry at you.
Yeah, because they do not want to be confronted with a reality that's amorphous.
Yep.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, because I've had people agree with me on historical events, and then when I tell them, especially the 713 BC changeover from the old year of 360 days to the new year of 365.24 days, I've had several people that I was emailing back and forth with, and I was explaining to them after I educated them on the Phoenix phenomenon every 138 years. Then I hit them with that. Man, they got real standoffish when I got them to agree that the Phoenix phenomenon was real, I gave them enough evidence, and then turned around and got them to agree that the 360-day year was the only year known to the entire world. Then I got them to agree that something anomalous did happen in 713 BC. I provided all those records. Then I got them to agree that the year became 364.25 days. And once they'd agreed to all 4 data sets, then I told them it's absolutely impossible. It couldn't have happened. They're like, what are you talking about? It says the Phoenix phenomenon is every 138 years in the month of May, in mid-May. It is never corrected. It is 100% fluid throughout history. When the year was 360 days and when the year was 365.24 days. And that's why I'm a simulationist. They backtracked, totally quit emailing me and everything. Yeah, they do not want to be confronted with actually hardcore data sets that show that you are in a simulated environment, because all of these can be shown to be true, and yet putting them all together, they cannot be true according to the world that we're told we're living in.
Right. That blows people's minds when you explain that to them. And like Skull, like you were just saying, when you get somebody, you say, what did George Burns say at the end of the show? Is good night. Say good night, Gracie. And she said, good night, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie.
Say good night. Yeah. And they did it. They even who is it? The Dick Cavett show. Say good night, Dick. Good night, Dick. They did the same joke back then. There was a bunch of coffee refill.
I'm hoping somebody sees that.
No, you're sending somebody a message now.
But you say that to somebody and they say, oh yeah, no, it was this. They say, oh, that never happened. And then they go, oh yeah, that's right, that never happened. Because their download updates real quick. Their software synchronizes or whatever. Or like you said, they get angry and they're like, no, that's not true. Like, yeah, and then you show them, there's like, well, wait a minute.
It's crazy.
They get confused.
So there's something else I want to discuss with you guys. Do you think it's quite possible that even the elite, I call them elite because I don't have anything else to call them. Some people get offended with that, but even the movers and shakers of our reality in our world, do you think it's quite possible that in times past, some of our history is explainable because we revolted? Even the elite got fed up and tried to fight back, and that many events that are happening right now, this weird breakdown of all systems that's going on right now. And the news reports get crazier and crazier. The legislation reporting gets crazier and crazier. Every single day, a new almost impossible report comes out. It's like, California just passed this. You guys aren't going to believe what you're going to have to be forced to do. It's like, I mean, we get all this stuff. Do you think the system has already been hijacked by AI and the elite really are not running a damn thing?
I think the elite, I'm not even sure anymore, because the amount of times they change out the actors. I mean, new Biden just dropped yesterday. So it's new smoother Biden. Like, it's like the,
I think we're on Biden 5. Yeah.
5 or 6. This one's not Jim Carrey. It might be though. They had a big smile. But I don't know. That's not an elite. Like the Bidens, the presidents, the prime ministers, those aren't even the elites. There's the Rothschild level elites, and then there's supposedly the Orsini level, which are like above them. And if we know their names, if some guy like me who has a regular life knows who the elite string pullers' names are, they're not that elite and they're not that secret. There's that. So do I think that maybe like that they're answering to like a giant floating holographic head, which is AIX? That's completely plausible in my opinion. That there's somewhere there's a cave where they go into the cave and there's this big bald head just floating there above.
I almost thought you were about to say the giant spaghetti monster.
No, I'm not a spaghetti monster. That's absolutely fake. Yeah. But who knows though? It's a simulation. It could completely be real. Somewhere there has to be the big pool that they look into and the thing tells them what to do. There has to be somewhere.
Okay. Well, how about this scenario? What about first of all, it's always been my position that technology has always existed. It's one of my fundaments. If something can be shown to be true somewhere, it's probably been true everywhere. And we just haven't had technology on the surface everywhere. But what if there's some type of ancient type of mainframe that survived thousands of years and that is being tended by humans in the underworld? And that this is what AI operates out of. And this is why AI is always creating UAP phenomena to get people to continue to look up. It wants to maintain the illusion that we're not in a construct and that we can travel, we can go. I mean, you don't want your mice to understand that they're in a maze. They'll start behaving differently.
Right.
So I don't know. What do you think about the scenario that
I'm a believer in what we call layer cake Earth, that the plane that we exist on is whatever surface level, and there is stuff underneath. I mean, they wouldn't be doing the tunneling they're doing with the Boring Company in the United States Air Force, purchasing billions of dollars of tunneling equipment to do stuff underground if there wasn't things going on down there. And the tunnel systems that we've seen in different explorations on different YouTube channels where they see the tunnels and the underground ossuaries and the catacombs and whatever, like throughout Europe and South America and pretty much every city and town in the United States. So there is some underground stuff already that we know about, you know, but every ancient society pretty much has stories of stuff coming from out of the Hollow Earth. The Hollow Earth is a theory that we did a 4-part series a long time ago. I don't know if you ever heard of Jan Lomprecht.
no, is that the guy in 1895 who went to the North Pole?
No. He's still alive. He's an author, and he's Rhodesian and living in South Africa right now. And he did research. He wrote a book called Hollow Planets, Hollow Earth. We did a study on that a while back. But yeah, I absolutely believe that there's something going on below us that we're not supposed to know about. The dumbs wouldn't exist. I think guys like Phil Schneider might be a relief valve for talking about what that kind of stuff really is. You know, I mean, he's telling you the truth in a way. He believes everything, just like Bob Lazar. I think Bob Lazar believes everything that he says, he says he's seen. You know, it may not be aliens. It's, you know, it's likely more advanced humans or whatever from below the earth, you know, for whatever.
I'm gonna add some context here.
Okay.
Okay. This is a little wild. A lot of people don't accept it. I only have one of my 700 videos where I actually lay it all out. It's not a very popular video. But I do have one video. Shiva, would you please provide the link to the video Nemesis simulation? I have a video where I'm basically laying it all out. That if I put all my data together, the only conclusion that I can derive from the fact that all these ancient calendars that I have literally published about in my published books and across YouTube, 700 and something videos, the fascination with the unfolding of cycles within epicycles and their exactness in the Olmec and Mayan system and how they sync perfectly with the older Vedic and they sync perfectly with the Sumerian Shar system, showing they're all one system. And they linked perfectly to an event in 5239 BC that has been called by different scientists the Nemesis cataclysm. And it's theoretical, but it is on the scientific table. There is a huge rift in the sky that has been perceived, and stars have been seen going behind it, called the Cygnus Rift. There is this idea in astronomy that we have another sun. And it's been the talk in astronomical circles for 150 years, but that sun has completely folded in on itself. It has become a very small, tiny toroidal field that does not allow any light to escape. Even though it's bright as hell, you just can't see it because the light folds back in on itself. So they're calling it a frozen star, even though it's not cold. So now, the reason I'm saying this is because I believe the sky is simulated. I believe all that. But if we were to strip away all confusion, everything, I'm going to give you in 30 seconds what I absolutely believe is the situation we're in right now. I'm going to tell you now. I believe that we humans are on the outside of this construct, and that many of us are laying down, resting right now as we run simulations on survivability in different biospheres. We've run vapor canopy, Venus type simulations. We've run desert world ones like Mars. We've run temperate simulations, many of them for Earth, but we're not here yet. We're in a sim. We're probably on a capital ship or a fleet of ships traveling from a star that we know is going to implode. The Nemesis cataclysm hasn't even happened yet. The reason I'm a believer in this scenario is because what I have uncovered in Archaics is absolutely true. I have so much data to prove almost every point. And yet, I will freely admit to you, none of it can be real because history is a mathematical construct that is absolutely too perfect. That perfection tells me that it's artificial. And yet it had to be made believable enough for those participants on the inside to try to figure something out. So I believe that we're in this to try and figure something out. And I believe that our present circumstances are because these programs can't just be turned off. There would be damage to the participants. There must be exit points. I call them exodus from the inside the construct. And the exodus programming is in the, I've showed it all on my channel. The exodus programming is there. We're literally told which years are massive exoduses for participants in here while everybody else gets looped back. But I'm mentioning all this because this also calls to attention Mandela effect. If everything is so synthetic in here and mathematically precise, even to the point where cataclysms have predictive value, then Mandela effect must be a type of communication. It must be from someone on the outside telling the participants on the inside, hey man, you need to start waking up. The more of you begin to wake up, the less problems you're going to have in the debriefing spell, which is when they turn the system off, power it down, and then because I mean, you got to understand the central nervous system is amazing, but this isn't our real central nervous system. Our real one's on the outside of this construct, and that's what all the care is about. That we are not damaged in extracting our personalities from this construct when we go back out. I am perfectly on board with the fact, and I only believe it because all my research shows that the whole history of the world is nothing but a series of mathematically perfect catastrophes, and each one spawned a calendar, and each calendar is nothing but a countdown to this next big cataclysm. So putting all this data together, it's my conclusion that we are prepping for something major in a real universe, but we're not in that real universe right now. And because of the present state of affairs, it's probably already been figured out. This sim has probably already done exactly what it needed to do. We've probably run thousands of these sims. Or we reached a point in this sim where we could no longer continue whatever it is we were trying to do. So the programming would also involve things like CERN in the programming, because from the outside they could literally inject programming into people to come up with ideas. Remember, ideas are in the field. The greatest inventions ever were in the field, to where both hemispheres, inventors in both hemispheres, came up with the same ideas at the exact same time, just like the printing press. So it's my point is that this AI that's in this construct right here may have gotten out of control, because the AI actually belongs in a field outside the construct. The controllers control the AI, but there's a real good chance that AIs are so sophisticated in the real world that they develop personalities and they try to do things on their own. They don't like the idea that they're going to be turned off. Now that's theoretical. My calendrical research doesn't show anything about that, but it should that's just an idea. The whole transhumanist deal and all that. But actually, that is my belief. I believe that we're all right. Nothing wrong. This construct is very believable. But we're going to make our exodus. We're going to be just fine. And those who exit before, it's no big deal. You're going to wake up with attendees and all that. You're going to find out you're on a fucking 7-mile-long capital ship with a whole bunch of support craft, and you're leaving a real bad situation behind, and you're just running sims on the worlds that are ahead of you. I do believe in the cosmos, because that's why I call this the simulacrum, because this is a copy. It's not the real thing. It's a copy of something that is real. Sorry if I went a little long.
No, that's fine. That's great, man. Yeah. So trying to like wrangle in like 8 points into one response, but since we were talking about AI and we were talking about ancient technology, something that you've brought up before with the ancient technology, and I think that there's been some version of AI that's run many times. And obviously there's some version of an intelligence that's running the whole thing, because as you said, everything is a kind of script. Like the whole of history is a kind of script. We seem to live in these kinds of scripts. You mentioned the elite. Do the elite have any control? I kind of think that they have less control than we believe that they have. And I think that they think that they have more control than they actually have. I think it's I think there's a whole lot of people who assign way too much control to the elites, and I think that they assign more control to themselves than they actually have. But your research of history proves that they don't really have control over what's going on. So they can go through the motions and do these rituals like the 9/11 ritual and all of the weird shit that they do that we see on TV with the one eye shit and all the weird occult stuff that they do, the Eclipse rituals and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like, are they being controlled by something? Are they doing these things because they're worshiping whatever deity it is that they worship, or are they just going through the motions because they're actually bigger NPCs than the rest of them? But the AI itself, and I'm talking about like the thing that we're seeing right now, like the AI as in computer programming. It seems like that there's been these ancient societies that have put this to use, that have been able to have something like it. But at the same time, here we are, AI is being introduced. It seems like the COVID operation, like one of the major goals of the COVID operation was to introduce AI into the system, is to digitize the world, right? So put everybody in the house, get everybody on a computer, start working from home, get people to do the whole contactless thing, put up the cameras everywhere in the form of temperature gauges. That was one of the things that I recognized immediately and pointed out on my channel, was that like those temperature cameras, they're not temperature cameras, they're tracking devices, right? Yeah. And the thing that I find astounding is that there's not enough information, and it seems to need us to feed more information into it. So we're seeing all these amazing advances in AI, and I do still believe that whatever they have, what they're showing us is decades behind what they actually have. But also, this human input seems to be needed by them. They seem to require us to give as much information as possible. So like right now, what we've seen is this explosion in programs that do the most amazing things you can possibly imagine. They're completely free. We've got these art programs that now can make digital images that are the product of something that would have cost, somebody could have made these things 10 years ago and gotten $10,000 an image for these things, or put themselves through, a career making these images. And now you've got an AI that you put the right prompts in, boom, immediately it gives you this amazing image with all of this detail, almost like we're in some kind of a dream, like how your dreams create all this detail without your conscious mind doing anything about it. And it's putting this in the hands of all these people all over the place because it wants more information. And then the more information it gets, the more power it seems to have. the more it's able to do. So it seems like that there's this insatiable hunger for our data. And that's another part of the whole digitized world that we're moving into, is like, why do we have to have cameras all over the place? Why do we have to have cookies in every single thing we do? Why does everything have to be tracked? Why does the currency have to become digital and every single thing have to be tracked and traced? Why was the COVID operation so focused upon this big brother aspect, right? Of finding out where everybody is all the time, what you're doing, what you're seeing. The 5G towers were told, and I think there's good evidence to support it, that it's some sort of a tracking technology that can see what's going on inside your house using your wireless connection, that it creates Wi-Fi, it creates a digital copy. When you're using your phone, how many times have you said something or even thought something, and then you open your phone and there's an advertisement for that thing, or there's some news story about some kind of synchronicity, and the synchronicities are supernatural, but also they're created by this thing. And again, it seems like there's this blending, this bleeding in of digital and reality in this thing. Go ahead, Johnny.
Well, we talked about that and how, there's the meme of, when your phone looks up something you and a friend were talking about, when your phone looks up something you've only thought about, and it's like black and white, sad, Mr. Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that's not your phone reading your mind. Those are supercomputer algorithmic things that have tracked you from every phone within 100 yards of you, every camera within however far they can. They have every bit of information on you, what you do, how long you look at something, how fast your eyes dilate, how long you stay on a certain thing, how, if you highlight this, if you bookmark that, did you click on this and stay there for longer than X amount. It has all of that. And that's what Google and Amazon, and I forgot the other, who else is doing the major data storage, but mostly Google. They have 20 facilities around the United States that have 2, 3, 4, 5, 3 football field size data storage facilities. And what is that? So they can tell you where the best tandoori place is? Come on. Yeah. That's not what Google's for. And now we did the dead internet theory episode, which talks about how Google not only has all that data stored up to tell you where the best tandoori place is, but apparently there's only 12 entries for tandoori in the entire world. You know what I mean? Because it's also, not only does it have everything, but it also has nothing. It's a Potemkin village as well as a repository of literally everything.
Wow. Okay, well, check this out. I'm gonna hit you guys with another one. Another little, just an idea. I really liked what you said, Old Skull, about the why, not the details. I mean, you named a bunch of details. There's a lot more to name of all these things that seem to be synchronizing the why of it. Okay, let's go into the future. 10 years. In the future, in 10 years, I believe a whole bunch of people, not everybody, there's always going to be freedom thinkers. There's always going to be people who are going to be isolationists. There's always going to be errants. There's always going to be people who go their own way. And there's nothing the elite are going to be able to do about that. There's always people who are going to form their own micro communities and do what they want. Even during the whole COVID deal, me and Big John and me and JR got in my van, and we didn't give a damn about the lockdowns or nothing. And we went out, we hustled work. We kept busy. This is before my YouTube channel anybody was listening to me. I was contracting. We ignored all the lockdowns. We ignored all the travel restrictions. We did all that. We were going from county to county to county in Texas doing work for anybody who needed work done. So there's always going to be people like that. But 10 years from now, I don't think that there's going to be a majority anymore that care, even if they're living in 15-minute cities. I think that this cerebral interface, holographic virtual reality technology that Microsoft and Facebook are rolling out together, I believe it's going to solve about 80% of humanity's problems. Now, I'm not saying it's going to solve them for real. It's going to be the medicine, though, that people are willing to take because of what they experience in an alternate reality. What an 83-year-old man can do playing a 22-year-old boy. You know what I mean? And feel the sensations and do those things and go out on dates with 19-year-old girls and relive what he was living way back in the 1940s and 50s. So when people see the type of programmed world that's waiting for them in this virtual rollout and the pleasures, even simulated sex, all these things, when they find out what they can do, they're going to quarantine themselves, especially when they find out, oh, okay, well, essential workers bring me my food every week. Essential workers bring me my supplies every week. I said, I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to do anything. You're dating people inside the metaverse. You're not even dating people in real life anymore. So
yeah, I mean, people already started. I mean, people have been doing that for years with internet relationships anyway.
Oh, I agree. But I think it's going to get real deep when people start engaging in the new technology. Now, the reason I mention all this is because Alt said, why this massive interface, well, from the COVID and all that. Well, I think it's staring us in the face. Artificial intelligence is just that, artificial. But is it really artificial once it is synchronized with 6 billion souls that are all interfacing with it neurically through all this technology at the same time in real time? Won't it become something far beyond artificial intelligence, almost like operating a hive mind? So,
and that's where the real is.
Yeah, or almost like creating a new world, like creating a new digital world that mirrors this one, but is not the same thing. And it's interesting. You get into the Edgar Allan Poe "Dream Within a Dream" meme, where if this world is a simulation, and as I said before, it does act that way, regardless of what religious background you come from. The world acts like that way. If you believe in miracles, you believe in simulation. Period.
Yeah.
And if we live in a world that's already in some form a simulated world, then they're going to put a simulation on top of a simulation and like bring you one level lower, into that. They make this world hell, right? And they make everything, all of the conditions that are being created right now, this whole order out of chaos situation where they make going outside a misery. Then people rush into the digital and then they go into the next level, whatever that is. And then the other part is getting back to the very first thing we talked about is, can you be trapped there once you get in there? Well, like you said, you may be trapping yourself. It may just completely be voluntary the entire time where, once you're in there, there are so many temptations. There's so much things that mirror physical stimuli. And like you said, you're going to be dating people, but they won't even be people. You won't need to date women. There'll be some simulated girlfriend for you that never complains, and you don't have to spend money on her. And
do not sell me on this now, okay?
That's terrible.
Yeah, and it's going to be
You're absolutely right. Though.
Yeah, the temptation is going to be too much to resist for the vast majority of people.
Okay, look, here's another. You just said something that triggered a memory. Well, one of my moderators, please put the link in the chat for my video on the origin of demons. Now, the reason I'm mentioning this now is because it's anytime someone lays out something as pervasive as I have done, I've literally brought a whole new paradigm and I have to defend it. And I'm always telling my community, I said, listen, guys, it's every aspect of simulation theory must fit. I can't have whole data sets that are contrary to something that I'm promulgating. And everything needs to fit. So somebody asked me about, okay, well, where demons come from? If we're in a simulation, how spirits and demons are? And that was a real easy one. I'm talking, as soon as they asked me for that, it was in a live video. I had to go ahead and do a whole video. That's the video I did on the origin of demons. I did the whole video to explain this phenomenon because demons are unique. They're no different. A demon is no different than me. It is a personality. It is a personality that through different medium we have learned can communicate with us. They can communicate in ancient languages and in modern languages. It's very interesting. They're even prescient, seemingly prescient. They can even mimic the dead and have people believing that they're talking to people that have actually passed on, personalities that are still jacked into the system using a different avatar now, which we call reincarnation. Now, the origin of demons, What is the common denominator? They're always negative, mad, angry, destitute. Some demonic activity they exhibit despair. They exhibit loneliness. They exhibit rage. Most of them are rage. Okay, that's real easy for me as a simulationist. If I already assume that I'm in a construct and that my personality is jacked into this avatar. This avatar doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the construct. I'm just borrowing it to experience this world. I'm somewhere else. I am moored to a real avatar that my personality really belongs in. I'm just going through a sim right now, a time dilation. But who's to say somebody on the outside, for whatever reason, didn't pull the plug on people who were moored to avatars on the entire people that are already interfaced with the programming have to be extracted only in a certain procedures. But if somebody on the outside for safety, that's why we have these exodus points that I've noted in my videos. But if somebody on the outside just arbitrarily unplugged some people, their personalities are no longer jacked into an avatar here, but they're still here inside of the construct, unable to see, hear, feel, touch, and taste. Because those are, by virtue of the central nervous system, your interfaces with the very reality that you interface with through the avatar. They can't go back. They were unplugged. The connection was severed. They're stuck here until the next reboot, until there's a system reboot. I talk about those as well. They're always cleverly disguised as cataclysms, these reset periods. But that too is a theory, but it's a plausible theory that fits with the idea that we're in a construct.
So they basically, to use like a Matrix thing. So like when they unplugged dude from when he was in the ship, right, and it killed him in the Matrix. So basically, you would disconnect from your real avatar, which is outside of the construct, and then you'd become basically a demon until the next reset.
Well, I mean, demon comes from the root word to know, knowledge. It's a spirit that knows things, but it has no body.
Right.
Okay. It has no body whatsoever. It's no different than you. I don't believe a demon is different than you and I, because we're just personalities. But if you got unplugged and you are no longer interfacing with the construct, which is restrictive and keeps you from remembering who you really are, and somebody pulled that plug and now you're stuck here because you're not jacked into the central nervous system of the avatar, and all those filters that keep you from remembering all those things are now gone. You are free. You are now your personality, and you remember who you are. You remember that you're on a capital ship. You remember all these details, and you're pissed. You are livid that you got something happened. You're unable to defend yourself. Now you're stuck in a construct until the next reboot period for whatever. It could be a disciplinary measure. It could be something you were doing in the field that was just so toxic that you had to be removed by an overseer on the outside. Says, we can't let this continue. Just unplug you. I don't know. It's all theoretical. But it accounts for the rage. It accounts for the demonic behavior. It'd be mad as hell. They've got nobody else to be mad at but the living.
That makes a good bit of sense. An interesting theory, for sure.
It's just a theory.
Yeah, no, I mean it's definitely interesting. I want to have to marinate on that for a second. But, back to the AI thing. I had something I wanted. Damn it, I forgot now. Go ahead, Skull. You got something?
Well, it's same subject, but what do you think about the fact that AI is going to basically come in and replace almost every single job that exists?
That's corralling everybody into their interface system that they want. Yeah. All this is by design.
Right.
You think people are going to go to McDonald's and pay $25, $27 for a Happy Meal made by a machine? There's people already bucking. There's people already machine gunning different franchises out there that are now just 100% machines and computers are making your meals. And the meals are super expensive. Nobody's buying that bullshit. So this is all by design to corral people into accepting a whole nother reality. I'm telling you, man, I'm of the opinion that a whole lot of people, even now, that are bucking, talking about, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to be free. I believe there's a lot of people going to put that visor on, and then when they do, the next day, it's going to be a little bit easier to defy that resistance. They say, you know what, I'm going to go check it out again. 18 weeks later, they're too invested. They got people they got to go see. Well, you know what? I'm gonna get back in the system because I met this girl. I'm doing this right here. Or look, man, I almost made it to the top of that mountain. I'm gonna try one more time. Next thing you know, 8 years have gone by. They have absolutely no idea what's going on in the real world, except for what is reported by the news networks in the false world, because we've already been told the metaverse is going to be just like our real world, and that through a credit-based system, you're going to be given certain rights, privileges, and immunities, and even special abilities you can earn. They're going to enslave whole hundreds of millions of people into this system. And once they're in there, there's no more coming back to the real world. You don't even fit in out here no more. You're not going to be able to make any money. You're not going to be able to do anything.
Yeah, that's a micro.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Tony. I'll say it after.
How do they get this to those hundreds of millions of people when like things like the Apple Vision 2 has been basically a complete failure?
Oh man, you know what? I had specifically stated that I'm looking at 10 years in the future, and I believe the technology is going to be readily available. I believe rollouts are going to start this year for all kinds of really badass systems like that, but they probably won't have it perfected for another 5 years. But by 10 years, it's going to be in full swing. Huge, and I believe it's going to be free. I don't believe they're going to charge for it. They're going to need a massive amount of participation. The only way to get that is give it out free.
It's going to have to be free, I think.
Or they'll make it where your credits buy it, your good boy points buy it, your UBI will be able to buy it, because they have to create some sort of demand to make it look like it's something that if they just give it away completely free, it's not going to create the demand. But if they make it like, oh, if you have this many good boy points, then you get to get the next piece of tech that everybody wants, that everybody's clamoring for right now. And it's interesting the way you brought it up, because it reminds me, it's a microcosm, it's a macrocosm of a macrocosm. The way that society moves, and again, it's like a script. We've gone from being able to raise our own animals, grow our own food, set a limb, build a house, till a field, fix vehicles, do veterinary work, anything that we needed to be able to do in our little tight-knit communities. People had their special skills, and then you had a general set of skills, and these were all basic living. We would call them survival skills now, but they were just basic ways of life back then, because that was the things that you did every single day. And then slowly, little by little, these conveniences have been added into our lives. So there's a good scene in that series Yellowstone? No, it's the one that they made before Yellowstone, or it was the one they made after Yellowstone that was actually a prequel to Yellowstone. It was like 1919 or something like that. And it shows these guys on this ranch in Wyoming, and I think it's Wyoming, Montana, maybe. I guess Montana. And technology is just being introduced, and they go into the city from their ranch. And in the city, there's a washing machine salesman, and he's selling the very first electric washing machine. And he's telling them, oh, this is going to save so much time. You won't have to wash your clothes, and you're going to have more time to do this other stuff. And here's a refrigerator, blah, blah, blah. And the cowboy looks at him and he says, well, why would I want to do that? Then I'm just going to have to be dependent on this machine, basically. The way the line was delivered in the movie was a lot better than the way it delivered it right now. But it was a great truth that he was telling, and they're telling the audience, is like every single new appliance, every single new great little technological advancement that we get, it takes away a bit of our freedom. It takes away a bit of our autonomy. It makes people more dependent upon this system as a gestalt and less dependent upon themselves. And so when it can be taken away, you don't have any ability to provide for yourself. You don't have any ability to survive. So one of the things that I often push on my Telegram channel is self-sufficiency. And the idea that like once COVID hit, I realized that we're completely dependent upon the system for everything. And so even if you want to drop out of the system, what are you going to do? Are you going to provide your own electricity? Do you have a way to give yourself water? Do you have a way to get rid of your excrement when you need to take a shit? No, you're dependent on the system for plumbing and electricity and the currency that we use. Everybody in the system uses the same money. And so I think the next level is going to be something like that, where all of the people are going to be herded into this digital world, and then everything that's happening is happening in the digital world. And so when you want to go outside of it and do something for yourself, there's almost nobody there. And all of the transactions and stuff, that's why they want to move to this digital currency, is also going to take place digitally. So let's say you want to buy a new car, and then somebody goes, okay, well, send me, wire me your CBDC crypto money. And there's only one of them now because the government's regulated everything else out. Not allowed to use Bitcoin or Monero or anything like that. And then you're like, well, can I pay you with this old cash that I have? And they're like, no, we don't accept that. Can I pay you with silver? Nope, no use for that anymore. I think that's the way the whole thing is moving, and what part of the whole AI push is about. Because it's not just AI. It's like the entire system is to get you completely dependent upon it, so that once it jerks your chain, they say jump, you say how high.
Yeah. I don't like the precious metals, gold and silver. And the reason I don't like it, I don't ever talk about it with people, but I don't like it because all governments in the past have done this at different times, and they try to scrub it from the historical record. But in any national emergency, a government can recall all silver instantly, and they can. And what they'll do is give you a silver certificate, or they'll give you some type of IOU that's supposed to be valuable, paper money or something like that. But the activity later always nullifies the value of what they gave you. It's bullshit.
Right. And the other thing is they're both basically fiat currency anyways, because they're both beholden to what a market says their value is to begin with. So I never understood. I never understood the whole buy silver, buy gold. Oh God, we got stock. I'm stacking silver. I'm like, for what?
Yeah.
Like,
unless the jackets on your bullets are silver.
I was gonna say, the only metal that's gonna be traded is across the front yard, and it's lead.
Yeah, man, lead's more valuable than anything out there right now.
Absolutely,
100%. It's crazy.
I was gonna say, oh, Skull, you were talking about the AI taking over everybody's jobs and stuff. There's so much AI in everything nowadays. Like, I play guitar. There are AI plugins for your computer that can simulate, $100,000 1969 Marshall JCM whatever amp, and it sounds just as nice. And it's 20 bucks for the sim or whatever it is. I have an amp, the Positive Grid Spark. It was $240. Their free community has people have uploaded their own tones for everything. You can just Google any guitar player's name, or not Google, but look on their community, look up anybody's name. Boom, there's their exact sound. And these are, these guys that have $20, $30, $40,000 guitar rigs being replaced by a $200 little chip in AI. It's an AI. You've got Grok on Twitter. You've got ChatGPT eliminating. It's eliminating research for students. It's already interfered to the point where with schools where teachers have to have AI reading, what do they call them? The filter, an AI filter, to see how much of these students' papers are actually AI anymore.
Yeah, they need AI to check if just students are using AI.
That's crazy.
Is the AI in the room with us right now?
Yeah.
It's everywhere, man. It's everywhere. Listen, one thing we haven't talked about is the AI art. And I was on X yesterday, and this real big channel. They're not called channels on X. I guess they're just called accounts. But a real big account on X posted a map, and I had to call BS on it instantly because it was a map from 1570, and I was looking at the tolerances on the map. I was like, they didn't have this ability back in 1560 to draw this absolute perfection I'm seeing on this grid on this map. So I left a comment. I said, hey man, is this an AI enhanced map? Is this map even real? I've never seen. I have a massive amount of maps in my possession right now in these books,
Let's say
and
if anybody would know.
I've never seen a map that dark. So he responded and showed the original and admitted, yeah, this is just AI enhanced. So I compared them and I even admitted, okay, well, you know what's a real good job because it doesn't look like it made any changes whatsoever. But I knew what I was looking at wasn't real because yeah, this is the problem we're having. There's a lot of YouTubers releasing videos talking about these are the first images that ever came out of such and such, such and such. Listen, man, most of that's AI. We're not, yeah, I've seen the old images. You can't just keep discovering old images from the 1910s, 20s, 30s, and 40s. Sooner or later, you got to admit, look, man, we basically found them all.
Yep.
There was only so much film.
Yeah, there's only so many pictures that were taken in the 1800s. Oh, we can't just keep. Yeah, there's a lot of people guilty of this, and
What about
they're deceiving people. These aren't even real pictures anymore, man. AI is just churning these out.
That's what I was going to say. Is with like the Tartaria stuff, right? All the impossible architecture, all the all that stuff. How much of that is actually real photographs? How much of it is photoshopped, old school Photoshop, like with the vanilla sky effect and all that? And how much of that is just AI? And how long has AI been around to do these pictures?
Yeah, we just did a art for. We used the AI to do art for one of the episodes, and had it put Cthulhu, the Cthulhu demon creature, in one of the World's Fairs. And I'm telling you, Jason, you look at that picture, it looks indistinguishable from the World's Fair pictures. It even had the little markings at the bottom where like the photos.
I got a book right here, 1893 World's Fairs.
Looks just like those.
Yeah, full of pictures, man. It's got all kinds of stuff in here.
Has it got one with the Cthulhu demon in it?
No, it doesn't have that. But
No.
But listen, they were putting together some awesome statues back in the day, man.
Incredible back then. Like the whole everything about all of the World's Fairs stuff is incredible.
Can you imagine going to a shop and being able to buy any of these things? I mean, they even made their little medicine bottles with absolute care.
Mm-hmm. Everything back then was made so intricately carved and perfect, and the glass was blown perfectly or whatever, however the glass was made. Because a lot of the times the glass was made before they had glass making facilities, which I always thought was kind of weird. Like those crystal palaces, the British crystal palaces that were thousands of sheets of glass that were produced in a time when they didn't have a facility that could produce sheets of glass.
This is just a fountain. It's just a fountain, but look at it. It's a full ship statue.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
It's insane the amount of stuff that they did with just straw and paper mache and some staff, a little spit and some gumption and a lot of bootstraps. And like, I don't know. Like I have, okay. So one of the things that one of the channels we like is, have you heard of My Lunch Break?
Yes.
Okay. He always likes to read the narratives of all the buildings and stuff that he talks about. And he always notices things like people's names, FL Ames, flames in the building burned down. Like there's a lot of that kind of stuff. There'll be in the narrative, there'll be 5 guys named Robert Byrne or something like that, or there'll be seven Roberts involved in this. And he believes that the AI is actually writing these narratives of these old entries.
Hold on. This guy's theory is actually he's incorporated AI into his theory.
He believes that yes, that the simulation is writing these narratives, and it's an AI that's writing it. And like while it's being written, I don't know. I don't want to speak 100% for him because I listen while I'm working. But that these narratives that we get for these buildings that we've somehow inherited from a reset, right? I don't know what your theory on that is like all the old new buildings that we have, that we built in the 1800s that there's no way we could have possibly done. Those were from a previous civilization, obviously, right? And well, his thing is that the narratives that they write for these were being written by an AI. I don't know if he means Chat GPT or if he means AIX, but he's saying that these things are definitely the narratives are definitely written by an AI because they're just too perfect. Like, you know, the fact that there's never any hiccups in the construction of these buildings, there's never any logistical hiccups. They always manage to get all of the whatever kind of limestone it is. There's always some special kind of limestone that's only mined from 400 miles away specific. There's always something in the narrative, right? And there's always like and it's always what does he call it? Donkeys Incorporated and Sons. You know, it's always something in Son. Like there's always the architect and his kid finishes the project. It's just, and it's in every single narrative. If you look at these narratives repeatedly, they're so similar that there's no way that these could be anything but an AI.
Well, I've only watched one of his videos, and I was impressed with it. I'm aware that his channel used to be about something else, and all those videos were removed. And then he started doing his my lunch break videos afterward. Other than that, I don't know much about him, but I'll definitely check it out.
No, I'm just saying, like that theory on the that all of these narratives. I mean, they're obviously fake narratives, but that they're so perfectly written. You know what I mean? They're so similarly written, so perfectly written.
Well, he sounds like he's onto something, but
Yeah.
I'm never going to be able to divorce myself from the tremendous amount of material that I have brought to the public's attention on 1902. So I'm on board with some type of massive editing going on in 1902, 1901, and 1902, simply based off all the information that I brought to the table. And everybody has filled my comment sections up in my 1902 videos with all the things that they have found, because I asked the community, I said, listen, on an international scale, even in my books, on an international scale, we don't have hardly any reporting of unusual activity in 1902. But on the local, everybody's sending me the pieces of microfiche, what the newspaper said just for their local area, and it was widespread. It just completely scrubbed. I've even showed newspapers where that was completely missing the month of May in 1902. So it's and I've shown all the hundreds of buildings all over the United States with big old plaques that say 1902. It's like, how did you build all these buildings in 1 year? So it's crazy. I mean, you know the Cheese Wedge building on Fifth Avenue. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. It's 21 stories. It's officially the first stone skyscraper ever built, according to the historical record. It's called the Fuller Building. It was built by the Fuller Construction Company. It looks like it's famous Cheese Wedge. It's on hundreds of Hollywood movies. Ghostbusters. They were at the top of that. They're at the top of it with them giant gargoyles and stuff. Yeah. Well, that whole building was built in 1 year, 1902, according to them.
There's so many stories like that around of these buildings that were constructed around that time, and they were in ridiculous amounts of time. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Ridiculous. And back to World's Fairs, like that was one of the things that we first got into this a while back with like Howdy McCoskey's books on the World's Fairs.
I have those books. Yeah.
And he went so far as to talk to the president of one of the world's largest construction companies, and gave him the scenario for setting up the Chicago World's Fair with an unlimited budget, unlimited manpower. How long would it take? Well, just to get the lagoon done with modern equipment would have taken him well over a year.
Yeah,
just
modern equipment.
And they did it in 13 months with horses and like carts and dredging it with wooden carts, because that makes sense. Yeah. And it's just like that kind of stuff. Like the stories make absolutely no sense logistically. And again, that's another one of those things, Skull, like when you talk to people about Mandela effects, well, when you try to talk to them about something like that, they go, oh, that's not true. Or they go, oh, that's what happened. Angry. And they get angry. They get so angry. And it's the programming.
So concerning AI, here's another one. I'm about to hit you with another weird one. Now, my source for this is a little embarrassing. So I'm going to tell you what it is first. And then I'm going to tell you because it's a source that I have never used in my life to ever illustrate a point or a data point or even try to fit it in a data set. My community knows me well. I would never cite this source, but I gotta hit you with this. I saw something that shocked the shit out of me about CERN, and it showed a bunch of scientists had activated CERN and they were running for their lives because they opened up a portal and Jesus himself walked through this. And Jesus came right out that portal and they panicked and started running. So I'm going to tell you now, my source was a meme. But when I saw that, I almost spit my coffee out because that is almost exactly how I would envision everything getting turned upside down. You can understand, everything's being angled right now for us to give up. For us to give up. The news is steadily bombasting everybody with fear programming, desperation programming, ludicrous. We're at ludicrous speed, 100%.
Right.
We're at ludicrous speed right now. We've already passed DEFCON 1, DEFCON 2, DEFCON 3, warp speed. We're at full ludicrous speed. Everything being reported is absolutely ridiculous. I would not be surprised if the card was on the table to activate CERN, open up a portal, and then the person that comes and solves all our problems, put everything back together, is walking straight out that portal. And Muslims swear up and down it's the Mahdi. Christians swear up and down it's Jesus. You know what I mean? And a different. We got people in the East are going to swear up and down that's the Buddha. And it's not even going to matter because what this individual does is basically put everything back together, get everybody's trust. Everything's running smoothly. It's time of peace. All debts have been canceled. No wars are being fought. While all this is happening, you're getting free visors in the mail. All your debts are canceled. You're now been signed up to new systems where you get packages every week of food. You get packages of this. You get these little coupons that allow different restaurants to send you, vouchers for different restaurants. You don't have to eat your allotment of food, just what they give you from grocery stores and all that. You also have vouchers for restaurants. Everything's great. Whole world's getting put back together. It's great. It's the man of peace himself. Except we already know the narrative. Antichrist appears before the real Christ, if you want to go by the eschatology. So anyway, it's just another wild theory. I'm going to tell you right now, don't quote me because my source is a meme.
Came to me in a dream. Yes.
Yep.
CERN, I think a lot of people on our side of the truth community, quote unquote, like to assign a whole lot more power to CERN than it deserves. I don't know how many times I've been in a Mandela effect conversation where somebody's like, they're turning up CERN again, so the Mandela effect's happening. And it's like, no. You have it all backwards, like you said, Jason. The Mandela effects are happening now, or they're going to turn CERN on to study the eclipse. No. The eclipse is coming, and then they turn CERN on because when people start thinking about CERN and researching CERN and doing whatever it is, they're putting power into that mimetic power, right? They're putting power into that spiritually. They're putting power into it with their consciousness. So that's why they turn it on at these certain times. And I think that CERN is a lot like NASA. I think that NASA does do things where they are studying things that we would be very interested in, but they're not showing us those things. And then the things that they do show us are just this clown show. And I think CERN is very similar in that regard. Like when they say that they're doing this, they say they're doing the smashing the particles together, blah, blah, blah. Oh. That's definitely not what they're doing.
And don't forget, the Higgs guy died.
Yeah. Higgs boson namesake Geyer died on the day of the eclipse and on the day that they started up CERN. Yeah, did you know that, Jason?
Yeah, I heard about it. My eyes kind of go glossy when we start talking about muons and bosons and all that, because you know what? To me, that's just something in a book, because it's another language that the power structure likes to use that I can't be involved. I can't be a participant of.
Right.
You know what I mean? I can't. It's like me going into a courtroom. my attorney is going to speak another language with the prosecutor and with the judge, and I'm left out because I really don't know. I'm not a participant here because you haven't given me the definitions to the very terms you're using. I don't know. Legal parlance is like science, is just like science parlance. It's they talk over our heads. We're not participants in those conversations because they've got alternate meanings for the things they say. And the same thing with I can't look in a microscope and see a boson. So I don't even know if bosons are real. You know what I mean? But I do know what you're saying about the dude dying.
Yeah, well, anytime that somebody uses language that's inaccessible to the masses, it's just because they're trying to confuse the masses and to hide
No
something.
doubt. No doubt.
I know that for a fact because I know when we've studied the Earth, the nature of the Earth, not the shape, but the aspect that it is, because I don't think it has a final shape. I think it just, but what we can measure about the Earth, I know that all the terms that they use at NASA for the heliocentric universe are just lies. And all of the math that they use, it's impressive, but it doesn't prove anything. But you can go out your window, you can go out your door, and you can prove that there's no curve. You can measure the land. You can see as far as you need to see with the technology that we have today, and it just keeps on going flat as flat.
It is absolutely pathetic how Joe Rogan handled that situation the other day when that flat earth guy was giving him the business.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't have to agree with somebody, but Joe Rogan literally turned him off and just relied on the authority. Well, we all know the world's round. So,
right.
As a simulationist, I believe it's a plane. You got to build a program on a plane first before you can even introduce any curvature programming. But that's just semantics. We're just playing semantics now. So, Joe Rogan really, I'm no longer a fan at all.
Who did he have on?
If he invited me onto his show, I would publicly say it on YouTube that I'm not doing it. It's I'm not cool with the way he was. The dude's argument was so amazing about jets going like Mach 2, Mach 3, Mach 4, and that if every 100 miles is a drop of 6,000 feet of curvature, what about these jets going thousands of miles around? They got to point their nose to the ground just to move forward all the time.
Gravity does it for him, Jason. It's the gravity. Okay?
It's crazy, man, but he's right. At that
Who's
speed,
the guy? You know the name
you
of the
would
guy?
always be trying to go to the ground so you don't go straight off in space.
Do you know the name of the guy that he had on the show?
No, but it's all over Twitter, and I made several comments saying how disgusted I was with Joe for not entertaining the arguments and just turning the dude off and relying on.
He didn't do it. That was his CIA handler, Jamie.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. If you're 37 years old and you're still an intern for a podcast,
yeah,
you are. And you're an intern for the biggest podcast on earth. You are his CIA handler. Yes.
Well, I mean, I don't want to get off on a complete flat Earth tangent, but gas pressure requires containment. Right. Heliocentrism ended there. That's all you need.
No doubt. Yeah.
Hey, Skull, remember, no, you can have two. What was it the guy tried to say? Because you can have two weather systems next to each other.
Yeah,
That's how that works. Right. It's like, shut up.
Yeah. Show me one without containment. Yeah.
Right.
Show me anything. Show me a gas pressure gradient without containment. Show me wind without containment. Show me any, you can take tungsten hexafluoride, which people will say, tungsten hexafluoride, you put it on the ground, pour it on the ground, and it stays there. Well, it's like, it doesn't stay there forever. It dissipates. It expands in all directions to fill the volume of whatever its containment is. So that's what all gas does.
Yeah.
Gas law, second law of thermodynamics, heliocentrism ended.
They break their own laws constantly.
Yeah.
With their narrative. And then they laugh at you and they say, you never passed second grade science.
That's crazy.
Right. Projection.
Crazy. It is crazy, man. So I'm thinking that we're at the point, although we haven't discussed this yet, but I think that we're at the point where some of the erratic behavior that we have seen that's been going on, that's been documented, people have filmed it. I'm on board with the conversation about this behavior is some type of AI temporal takeover of individuals, getting them to do like Manchurian candidate type stuff. And because there are people who have committed some really weird crimes, and you can tell that when you go through the news reports, you can tell that, okay, this dude was shopping in a grocery store. He's got things for his kids in the cart. When all of a sudden he was triggered for something and killed this other dude he wasn't even having an argument with, just walked 3 aisles over, went over and killed somebody in the aisle. There are incidents like this all over America, maybe the world. And I wonder, I mean, we would like to go by the Manchurian Candidate theory and say it's intelligence, operatives doing all this stuff. But what if things that have been put in people's bodies are actually there because it allows the AI to control their behavior for short periods of time?
Well, that's something we discussed with like the COVID vaccine. We were seeing all the videos of all the weird things, that nanobots and the submarines and the hydras and all the other kinds of stuff. But then there were the videos of all the people with the Bluetooth addresses and the magnetic injection sites and all that kind of stuff. Now, how much of that stuff is real? How much of that is just TikTok bullshit? We'll never really know, but it is completely plausible. They have been doing nanotech research and this kind of stuff for decades,
for a long time,
for a very long time. And again, like we said, with the technology that they show us, they're at least 20 years ahead. And that's being nice. 20 years ahead is being generous. It's probably a lot more than that. Especially if we've been through this loop, like the Rocco's Basilisk thing. We've been through this loop thousands of years already. This is the 1437th time that we've been through this loop or whatever. You know what I mean? So, it could. I forgot what I was going to say. God damn it.
Well, it goes back to the terraforming argument, right? Like they're not only terraforming the world to this digital world, but human bodies to be able to interface with that world. And I think that eventually it's not going to, this thing is the right. Like I just made hearts because it's fucking.
Oh my God. What is that? What kind of software you got?
I just did that and hearts came up. I
Does
was
that
doing
do
this.
that?
I was trying to do that.
Do you have that software? Is that a part of? Is that part of my software?
I think it's yours, dude.
I'm doing the heart thing.
So far, it only happened with you.
I'm more connected to the AI than you guys are, apparently.
I don't know. I want balloons.
I've always
Look at me.
On free stuff. I never get nothing free.
I'm a fucking magician.
You got this on your computer, man. This is something
I don't know. I just opened up Google Chrome. I don't even use this program. I only used it because my mic and camera weren't working on the other programs. So,
man, we got AIX messing with our stream.
I know, right?
That is very strange. Nobody else has hearts.
I have never.
Anyway, my point was the goggles that people are going to put on are not the final iteration. I think the final iteration is you're not going to have to put anything on at all. It's whatever your body's being terraformed into. Terra is not quite the right word. Digiformed into. Yeah. And that's and I think that they are creating interfaces with these things. Not just the most famous one recently, but like from the last 100 years.
The fundamentalist Christians listening to you, what they're hearing. Do you know how they're going to translate what you just said?
Oh, mark of the beast and all that, right?
Damn right. A mark on the right hand or a mark in the forehead that will allow them to participate in society, buy, sell, trade, all that.
I mean, sounds pretty accurate as to what's coming.
That's what I was going to say, Scully. Yes, the terraforming and having these things, whether they're, from the vaccines we got when we were kids, 30, 40, however many ever years ago, or the one that people just got the past couple of years, everything seems to be around this, getting a chip put in your hand, all these things where the stores, where is it, in China or was it in Europe where they were having you could pay just by scanning your hand, right? And this is stuff that's happening all over the world right now already. And with the 5G technology, the supposed Bluetooth net that people with these vaccines have, you kind of do have a bio net, Skynet sort of a situation.
Yeah, I see that.
You know,
I can see that.
And
that's
the
you know,
heavy
that's
metals that people have in them and whatever, you know, like people talk about smart dust and stuff. Like once you have enough of this shit in your body, you become a conductor. And so it becomes very easy to connect. I've heard people talk about, you know, we say 5G now, but people have been talking about 6G and 7G. And the ultimate goal of what that's supposed to be is to turn each human into their own energy conducting device and antenna. And so you'd be the input, the output, the antenna, and the battery all. And I think that's where the whole thing's going. So you're just going to be able to basically lay down and dream, but you're going to be interfacing with the system. So you're not going to need all this extra tech.
I want to interject on one thing. While I agree with that entire scenario, I also understand that our experience here is compartmentalized, meaning that in my own experience, not just research, not just book smarts, whatever you want to call it, but in my personal and my perspective has been molded from the unique position that I spent 26 years in 42 days in prison. So my experiences aren't going to be the same as many of my listeners. I've been in a different environment in multiple different maximum security prisons. And I still came away with this idea, especially now that I've been out for 7.5 years. I got all my rights restored. I voted for the wrong guy, but I still voted. And still, I was a Trump supporter back then. I'm not anymore. I'm not a supporter of any of the politics anymore. But what I'm saying is that I can't not see it now that we're in a contract, a participant required. I don't know how to say it. I said it in another video perfectly clear. I don't know why this Mullen tea and this coffee has got me so inadequate in communicating right now. But what I'm trying to say is this is it's where your agreement is required for these things. Just like the COVID deal. We like to say that we were forced, and a bunch of people are going to say that they were forced because they had to feed their families and all that. But the real deal, no, they gave you an alternate situation that you didn't like. Yep. So you took it. But what I see in the future is not everybody participating. And I don't feel that the construct, excuse me, and the overseers are going to have a problem with the minority, because I'm going to be in that minority. But the minority of those who choose to live out in the country, outside the cities, go do what they want to do, and you're such a minority that they've got the hundreds of millions they wanted to participate. They've got the 3.2 billion people they wanted to participate. They're not going to. It's going to be a type of society that's very similar to. There was a movie that showed that people were thriving, but they were living in micro communities back like in the 1800s and stuff, while the rest of the world is in these super advanced control systems, and they had all the amenities, but they chose that. There's something about this reality where we're offered these choices over and over and over. And yeah, people bitch about the choices they have made, but the choices are still there nonetheless. I don't see them ever coming and forcing this on the population to be in the system. And the reason is the worst thing that they could have is a fifth column of people who don't want to participate, who unify inside the false construct and then start fighting back.
Yeah,
right.
You know what I mean? So it's I see that this is going to be incentive based. They're going to really want people to participate. They're going to throw those carrots out there. But for them good old boys like me that just like to go fishing, you know what I mean? Like to talk to 4 or 5 people around a campfire. If my whole YouTube community is reduced to the size of a campfire here in the next 5 or 6 years, whatever, so be it. That's where I'm going to be. I'm going to be out there under that tree. I'm going to lean against that bark. I'm going to enjoy nature, and I'm going to let the world do what the world wants to do. And I'm going to get farther and farther and farther away from it. Maybe up in the mountains of Utah or something. I don't know. But I'm just saying, I'm not going to be a participant when that day comes, when they're creating situations to where it's either participate or you're going to suffer these consequences. Well, I'm not going to do either one. I'm going to leave. I'm just going to leave.
And we always say, don't forget the devil always gives you a choice.
Of course, devil always give you a choice. Yep. The same thing with the old Arabic stories of the genies. Remember, the genies gave you 3 wishes. The only catch was you better be real specific because he's going to give you exactly what you asked for. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you ever heard those stories? It's terrible. Mm-hmm. So people didn't really think about what they were wishing for, and they got it. It ended up biting them in the ass.
It's the monkey's paw. The monkey's paw story.
Yep.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot, especially during the COVID narrative. Dude, I don't know how much shit we took for telling people they're never going to force you to take it. I specifically said that to a few friends, and they got really angry at me because they were coming down really hard. These were European areas where it was a little bit more intense than what was happening in the States. But I kept saying, they're not going to break down your door. They're not going to shove it in your arm. They don't want it that way. They want the people who just agree. It's like a, what's the word for it? It's like they want to break people down, and they want to find out these are the people who withstood everything. These are the people who, no matter what was thrown at them, they refused it. And then all these other people over here, and in fact, you even mentioned something earlier in the thing, Jason. You said that there's going to be people who like put on the goggles, but they're going to be like, I'm not going to put on the goggles, but then they put on the goggle once, and then they put on the goggles again. The same thing was happening during COVID, and I could see where it was going. There was all these people who were like, I'm never taking that shot. I'm never taking that shot. And then it was like, yeah, but if you don't take the shot, you can't eat at a restaurant or go to a movie theater. And they're like, well, gotta take the shot. And then, immediately these guys that were so staunchly against it at one point ideologically were like, oh, gotta go to the movie theater though. What am I going to do? How am I going to have a date with my girlfriend? And it slowly like separated those. And that was a good thing. Honestly, it was a really good thing. The people who stood up against it and pushed back and understood like, okay, even if you're going to lose your job, it's your job. What if they said you have to cut your arm off, or you're like, gotta go to work. Right. What am I going to do? Yeah. So yeah, manufactured consent. Yeah. Interestingly, a Chomskyan concept that was brought up in the 90s by Noam Chomsky, but it contained a whole lot of truth, because he was telling about how wars are manufactured and how basically the media works to get people to do whatever it is they want. But that's like on a societal level, it happens on both sides to everyone everywhere.
Yeah.
During the COVID thing, I saw how easy it was to buy people off to. It wasn't just, the incentivizing, right? It wasn't the threatening. The threatening wasn't even the things that got people. Like at my job, I was at a government facility at the time. And there's a government contract. So they tried to pull the whole, it's a government contract, so everybody mandatorily has to get the vaccine. And we were like, no, here's the fine print that says we don't. But they were like, okay, fine, you don't have to. But if you get the vaccine, you can leave work early, get paid for the day. And then if you get the vaccine and you have symptoms, you get 2 days paid off. And guys were like, I can go fishing on Wednesday and Thursday. And they went and got vaccinated, and then took the 2. Everybody took the 2 extra days. You get a half day Wednesday and get paid for it. You get Thursday and Friday off. You get like 4.5 day weekend. Fuck yeah, I'll take the shit. Like that's all it took. Skull, you held up the donut, right? It was like free Krispy Kremes, free whatever it was. It was nothing was ever like healthy. Come get a healthy vaccination, and here's a shitty grease fried piece of dough with corn syrup and sugar.
What's his name with the hamburger and the French fries? The governor, the New York governor guy.
Yes. Who was the governor at the time?
Cuomo or one of those guys. It wasn't him, but one of those guys.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah, but still, it's terrible.
That's a hard. Here's a hard one.
With the nipples.
Here's a hard one right here. It's I'm gonna have to sympathize with this person. Who is that? Kelly Duran. I'm gonna have to sympathize with her. That's real. That's a real terrible situation to be put in. I'm gonna have to also admit that it still wasn't forced, but it's a hard situation to be put in.
That's a very hard situation to have to go through.
I was born in a bathtub. I wasn't born in a hospital.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons that home births and what are they called?
Doulas.
The woman
midwives
became a big thing during the COVID operation, because hospitals are the center of the beast. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's still not for. No offense, but it's still not forced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sucks. What happened was
It does suck.
terrible.
It does
And
suck.
it puts you in a position to where they psychologically forced you to do it. Nobody,
Right.
yeah, it sucks. And that's
Right.
happened to probably thousands, if not tens of thousands of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did read that the pharmaceutical companies even were real sensitive to the fact that they couldn't have anything go wrong with that first rollout, because just wouldn't have any future rollouts. So they put saline in all the first rollouts that went out, so it gave the appearance of normalcy. There's no side effects, nothing's going wrong, nothing bad happening. And then after they stopped the saline and started rolling the real stuff out, that's when all the problems started.
That makes complete sense. And of course, the most vax country on earth probably did saline for the most part.
Yeah.
But yeah, that whole thing, the vaccine, man, that was a shit test like none other. Probably the biggest shit test in our lives.
Yep.
You know.
Yeah.
Can't imagine a bigger shit test than that. I was ready to. I thought, because see, Jason, you called it at the beginning. You said that it was going to go away. I didn't realize that. I thought this was it. I thought the world was just this much more totalitarian from now on. And I said from the very beginning, this is why I was so frustrated with people who were like, not going to get the shot. And then they're like, go to a movie theater, got to go to a restaurant, got to get the shot. And I was like, dude, I'm in Japan. My family is in America. I was in the habit of going to America once a year, my family coming here once a year, seeing them regularly. I was like, I'm never, no matter what, ever getting that shot, no matter what they do to me. So I may have to just stay in Japan for the rest of my life and never get to leave the country again, ever. And I was prepared to make that decision. I was prepared. Yeah. I said, okay, I'm going to stay here then, I guess. Or I'm going to smuggle myself out on a North Korean boat and go to Alaska or something. You know?
Well, they also tried to warp people's reality. They really tried to convince people that it was forced. There were several false flags that went on through different countries all at the same time, and the media was showing it a lot. I was drawing people's attention to it even back then that this isn't real. And they were showing law enforcement beating people up and holding them down while nurses came and gave them a shot. All that psyop. It's all bullshit. Yeah, it was all proven later. All that was bullshit. But it was designed and it worked. It worked. A lot of people lined up for that shit.
Oh, absolutely, man. Like from the very beginning, when the COVID videos first came out of China and the people were falling down and, you know, and other Chinese people were helping them. I was like, that's fake. Right off the bat. We know better than that. We
knew.
And then the welding people into their apartments. While that sounds kind of cool and totalitarian and very fascisty, that's not even in China. Like, you know, I've you know, the more like my wife has been into these travelogue videos where they like show you other parts of the world that Americans don't normally see. Like when you think of Cambodia, I think of the book Escape from Laos that I read in 4th grade. You know, and it's just like when I think of Cambodia, I think of a tiny backwater little jungle country. Well, the capital city looks like Coruscant from like Star Wars, you know, like all these places. But anyways, I've come into more and more to believe that everything that, you know, that was it the FBI or the CIA director that said, we'll know that our psyop has been complete when everything Americans believe is fake.
Yeah.
I think that happened a while ago.
Oh, yeah, we passed that a while back.
We passed that
now it's just now it's just like, see how retarded they can make the narrative. Like,
how many John Fettermans can we put out?
Oh my, right. And how many new Bidens? Like this new Biden, he's like the pure SpongeBob, you know, the smooth one. Like that's the new Biden. He's just like no wrinkles on his face. Is just like he got Botox or something. I don't know.
It's just plastic surgery, Johnny. It's just Botox. Yeah.
This guy has gotten plastic surgery probably 11 times then.
Wow. I had an argument on X. I can't remember with who it was with, but I wasn't even trying to argue with the guy. I was moving on, going through the threads. I saw something interesting. I made a comment, and I don't know why he got triggered, but he came in there and he just said something weird. I'm like, damn, dude, where'd you come from? Left field. I'm not even talking about you or the vax. But he interpreted what I said as something else, I guess. And then you started talking about back and forth. Next thing I know, we got a whole bunch of people hearting my comments And a few of his comments, like, damn, how'd I get caught in this thread? This is weird. So I kept looking at it, and it just developed. And he said something, so I said something, and then I realized, okay, you're real offended by the fact that I believe that was poison, and that people weren't forced to take it, no matter how it was packaged. You're really offended by that. He was triggered by all that. And his comment, he made a comment, said, there's absolutely zero evidence there was anything negative in that. It's never been proven. It's not. So I realized why I'm dealing with somebody who took it. And he was unnecessarily on my ass. I'm like, damn. So I just said, hey man, check it out. I don't know what the real issue is here, but there's a huge difference between you and I. And that difference is I can give blood at a hospital. So he blocked me. He blocked me, man.
Yeah. I was gonna say, you're like, I don't know how that happened. I was like, well, you did go on Twitter. I mean, I'm sorry, X, formerly known as Twitter.
Yeah, he's something else. Well, I had to.
That guy was probably real, but some of those people you'll find pop up out of nowhere and start arguing with you are not real at all. There's a lot of bots on Twitter.
How many names have you guys seen where it's like whatever, and it's like 754-3219-7654-37694, and it's like, or whatever. I'm just making that up. Like everybody, it'll be like, like Jeff Jackson, and it'll be like 13 numbers behind his name, or like Joanna 4, or like, and then it shows 13 numbers behind her name. And those all have to be bots, because nobody would set their @ to. It just doesn't make any sense.
I'm gonna address this guy, Kundalini King. Listen, man, that's a given, bro. It's on my channel. I've openly talked about it. They've been on my property. They have visited me at the restaurant. Martin Leakey's met them. I've had intelligence ops come straight up to me, man, and pay me to take their pictures off of YouTube, because my security cams picked them up on my property. I showed everybody on YouTube their pictures, blasted them out there. I'm telling you, man, I have invited the intelligence community to talk anytime they want to. I got nothing to hide. They watch my channel. They've made it known they watch my channel. I don't know who they're out of, but I don't even care.
I had a whole federal operation centered around dragging my name through the mud and doxing me on Telegram, and it turned out to be actual federal informants who were doing it. And we figured out who they were, and they no longer have an operation because they got exposed. But I've been directly targeted.
I don't even care about them, man. They're more than welcome to make their comments and all that stuff, but I also have zero tolerance, and I don't give a damn if somebody's in the NSA or if somebody's Israeli Mossad. You're going to be respectful in my comment section, and if you're not, I'm gonna boot you. And if you email me, I'm gonna let you know your behavior was unacceptable. I just don't care. I mean, I've already said it on my YouTube channel over and over, man. I really think a part of me died at 17 years old when I got sent to prison. I mean, you guys know my story, man. I drove this poor 19-year-old girl to the police, man. I wrote a full statement against myself. I threw myself at the mercy of the court. You know what I mean? And then this piece of shit ass dude that was in the car with us, man, he made a deal with the state. And that deal with the state, man, ended up getting me in a lot more trouble, man. And he took a lot less time. He ended up getting 45 years. But they were aiming for giving him a 70-year sentence. But you know what, man? It's just I got the shitty end of a stick when I was trying to do a good deed, man. And you know what? Never again, man. And I was really pissed off, and I became a monster. And when I went to prison, man, I became the very son of a bitch they thought I was when I was in the courtroom. And I told you the stories. I've done YouTube videos about it. I regret those years. I got more time while I was in prison serving time. So it's all water under the bridge. You know what I mean? But I feel that experience of 26 years in prison has basically turned me into somebody who doesn't give a damn anymore. There's just no fear whatsoever, especially when them spooks were in the parking lot with Martin Leakey was there. Martin Leakey was there. Don was there. Cheryl was there. Yeah, they literally just told me straight up. They pulled out $4,000 cash from a belly deal and say, we need our pictures off of YouTube now. I said, cool. I said, I could do that. And I counted the money right there. And then I know the owner of the Texas Longhorn Steakhouse on I-45 in Conroe, Texas. He came out and watched the whole thing. I counted all the money. And then you guys are going to laugh, but I invited them in. I said, hey, man, we're here for dinner. So we're here for you. May as well join us right now and tell me why you're on my property anyway. Because the whole deal happened when my surveillance cameras took good pictures of them and I put them on YouTube. We went inside. I did not make the connection because I love pork chops. I'm not thinking about them being Israelis, and nor do I care. But when they revealed who they were, it's like, well, damn. Well, they just didn't tell us if they were ADL or what they were, but they told us 100% they were Jewish. And I didn't even snap. They're sitting right next to me. And I got Martin Leakey and Cheryl and Dawn right here. And I'm eating this big old fat pork chop while they're eating salads. I'm just, yeah, man. Okay, I get it. But you ain't got to come to my property for that. No, I'm eating the shit. It was after dinner that Dawn, because they excused themselves and left after a while when they realized I was serious. They, you know what? Oh, they had questions about the Phoenix phenomenon, stuff like that. But I just told them, you know what? You don't need to come to my property, and ever ask me anything. And so you're out of line. So, you could send me an email. We could have met in public like other people have done. They're not the first intelligence operatives that I've talked to. Yeah, I talked to a guy in Switzerland that paid me quite a bit of money just to answer questions about the Phoenix phenomenon. Yeah, and there's a couple of other people who I suspect, but they've never admitted it. But that's cool. They're in my life. They come in and out. They keep tabs on me, and that's all cool. I understand the game, but the issue was Dawn, after they got up and excused themselves, I'm still eating my pork chop. Martin Leakey's quiet. Cheryl's quiet. And Dawn says, I can't believe you did that. So what are you talking about? They're Jews and you were sucking on your fingers on the pork. So when she said that, I was like, I never made the connection. Wasn't even there. It was all unconscious.
They kind of forced themselves into your situation. So, like, hey, I would have ordered extra bacon.
Well, I'm going to tell you now, if I would have been thinking clearly, I would have ordered a steak. I would have. I didn't even make the association at all. But I did notice how they were watching me when I was eating. I just didn't give a damn. I ate it anyway.
No, I've never had the pork chop at lunch. But if it's that good that you're licking your finger, I'm going to have to try it next time I go.
I know I'm starving now.
No,
Texas.
Yeah, what's morning where you're at? Yeah.
I didn't eat breakfast either. I'm just like, Jason, stop, dude.
How would you feel if you hadn't eaten breakfast?
No, I haven't eaten breakfast. I'm freaking hungry.
Oh, wait. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Say it's I mean, I think our situation is a lot better than we convey it. We get this idea of doom. I don't know why I'm not very eloquent tonight. I don't know what's going on with me right now tonight. I actually feel great, but I had some sinus problems earlier today, and she gave me a bunch of mullein tea. But other than that, I can't figure out why I'm not near as eloquent as I normally am. I can't find the words tonight, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, I'm not in that doomsaying mode. I feel that life. There's a lot of opportunity out there. There's a lot of freedoms. I can do all kinds of things. I'm fixated on archaics because I enjoy putting out this information. But at any given time, I can get in my Jeep or my van and go somewhere and do things. Life isn't all that bad. And it seems that 90% of everything that bothers me is in the digital universe, not in my real life.
Yes.
So I just want to remind people of that. And I want to have you guys back on my channel again after I'm a guest on the Paranormies next time. But yeah, man, we can there is no end to the topics that we can discuss. There's just no end.
No.
The AI is an interesting one because once we've awakened the community to the idea that a lot of these events that seem manufactured are manufactured, trust your senses, then we can start realizing that, okay, the ones that we think are really calling the shots may be only calling some shots. There's something else. There's another player in the field, and it's one that's been invisible for a long time, but it's starting to make its moves. And that's all. That's the whole point of this video right here, was just to bring about awareness of what AI is doing, what we suspect it's doing, and for people to start watching out for that stuff and report it to us so we can do videos on it.
That's what we do.
I know you do. I know you do. But yeah, I really like talking about the if you guys want to in the next week or so, I would like to do an Archaics TV video because I have like 100 awesome pieces of news all about the tiny hats. All I want to talk about is the tiny hats. But
I don't have the whole. I put Assad's face over it. That's the whole shelf. That's my tiny hat shelf back there. It's one. That's one of them. Because there's another one on the other side.
There's so much going on in their world right now. Let's get on our Archaics TV in the next 4, 5, 6 days. I'm free, man. Y'all email me and let me know when you guys can get together. Because Alt, you're kind of the wrench in the system. Being in Japan, we just need to figure out. We need to figure out a good schedule, and I want to do about a 3-hour session on Archaics TV, man. And we can also do something on the Paranormies channel as well.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah, sweet, man.
Absolutely. Doors always open. Invitation is always there.
But if you guys got any last thoughts, go ahead and get them out before I throw out this awesome outro.
I just wanted to agree with you that the digital, like whatever controls this world, it wants you angry and confused and lost and isolated and lonely and despairing. And the way that it does that is now that the COVID operation's over. The COVID was a real one that brought it into the real world really well. But now that the COVID operation's over, the majority of the despair and anger that you feel comes from a screen somewhere. And so if you do happen to start feeling overwhelmed by the world, then just close the fucking case, man. Just close the computer case and shut it off and go outside and literally touch grass. And, it's summer's coming. Take a swim. I went to the beach yesterday. It was terrific. The water was cold, but it felt good once you're in. And it's a nice break. And like you said, Jason, for people who build their own reality and for people who proved to themselves and to everyone else that they were not beholden to this system, there are so many opportunities now because of this. There are so many opportunities now opening up for people like us to build these new communities and to get out and to get off the system and to do new things that people aren't doing that are away from the digital world, that it's all up to you, basically.
Yeah, so many people got, because of the COVID thing and the lockdowns and all of that, so many people were almost forced to do things with, at their house or with their family. They were forced to get off the system. And that's a good thing. And that's a good thing. I myself, like I got myself and my family further and further off the system. Touching grass is a really good thing. Not just the meme that go outside, touch grass. Actually take your shoes off, go walk around in the grass with no shoes on, go earth. That's a real thing. Like nature is a thing that we are all a part of. This simulation that we're in still is, like you said, you drop a rock on your foot, it hurts. It's still real. And you still need to interact with it. So get outside.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna see you guys later.
Oh, is it okay for us to shout out our channels here at the end?
Hell yeah. I got all the links you guys gave me are in the description box as well.
Yeah, if you guys are interested in following our channels, check the description box. I think some of them, the links, you'll have to cut and paste it into your browser, but it's not that hard to do. I'm on Telegram, and my @ on Telegram is AltSkull48, the number 48. You can see my name right there, ALTSKULL48. And I have a YouTube channel. It's a small YouTube channel, but there's some interesting videos I've made that are evergreen. You can check it out. That's also at AltSkull48. Johnny, I'll let you do the rest of the Paranormies ones.
Yes, and ours you can find on Telegram. It's at the Paranormies Present, and we are on Twitter at _Paranormies, where I'll either be arguing with retards about stuff or posting links to crazy stuff like Archaics and our other friends out there. Yeah, but thanks for having us on again, Jason. Man, it's always
thanks very much.
Man, it was a blast. Make sure you guys email me, and we're gonna put something together in the next 3-4 days, man. Get it done.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate y'all, man. See ya.